Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 404. Sorry, your podcast is not found. Please try it again later.
I forgot that was going to be a joke.
I feel like I've not actually seen like a page 404 error in like at least a decade, maybe even longer than that. But it was such a common thing on the internet for the 2000s, I would say.
At work, I get the technical dinosaur a lot. You know, the something's gone wrong.
Yeah, that usually just means the internet's not connected, though.
Yep. Yeah. So, like a network issue thing. But yeah, I haven't seen a 404 in a very long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think it's just an outdated reference, but we're dinosaurs here on this show. We're old people now. Welcome to the show, everyone. It's the DC Comics podcast. We get together and we talk about the books that came out this week that we read. Coming up on today's show, we got Superman issue 13. We've got Wonder Woman issue 7. We have Nightwing 13, which is also issue 300, which proves my legacy numbering was correct. These past
Wonder
7
Woman
months.
number 8, my guy.
Okay, that's just me forgetting to change the digit, but
there you go.
I was saying my Nightwing was correct. I never promised any.
You got so excited about legacy numbering that you left the Wonder Woman one out. Which Wonder Woman legacy would that be?
808. I actually, what's funny is I changed the legacy number for it, but just not the regular number. Well, it's easy to remember with that because that and Flash, it's the same final digit. So
yeah.
So because 800 was the last issue of the previous one, it's really easy to keep track of. Anyway, also coming up in today's show, we have Titans issue 10, Green Lantern War Journal 8, Batman Superman World's Finest 26, J. Garrick the Flash issue 6, and Batman Off-World issue 4. Busy week. A lot of stuff in there. Some exciting books. We'll get into all that. But we also have solicits, believe it or not. Was it July? These are for. I always forget what month we're doing them for, but that's coming up in a little bit as well. So yeah, should be a packed 404 episode. It's always the packed ones that I find myself sleep deprived for some reason. Just sod's law.
The universe has a way of doing that.
Yeah, how was your week, Matt?
The week was good. I went and saw The Ghost Inside last night, and it's on my Murtaugh list. And I'm getting too old, but I still had a great time. But I feel like I was hit by a train.
That is a musical act, I presume?
Yeah. They're a metalcore band. Also saw a band called Paleface Swiss, and it is the rowdiest floor I've ever been a part of. Part of why I probably feel like I was hit by a train. Don't remember the band performing a lot because I had to keep my head on the swivel because there was a lot of moshing and crowd killing, if you will. So, yeah. Fun times. Why do I do it at my age? I don't know. But I think I got another good 10 years.
I like to imagine it's a bunch of 18 to 25-year-olds and then just you're the only one who's not in that age group.
Yeah. There was a guy that I met that was roughly my size and my build. Very nice guy. His name was Damien. And he goes, yeah, man, I'm almost getting too old for this. I missed a week from the gym to be here tonight. And I was like, how old are you? He goes, oh, I just turned 26. I was like, buddy, come at me when you're 38, and then we'll talk. And he's like, wow, good for you for being out this late. And I was like, you whippersnapper. So yeah, fun times. I just didn't get to bed till almost 1:30, which is way late for me. Slept in till about 7, so we'll see. We will see.
It's a sad state of affairs when you sleep until 7, sleeping in, but
bro, I'm up at 5. Well, yeah, 5. I'm up before 5 most days of the week at this point, and it sucks. I hate it.
My sleeping pattern shifts, but I only get a few hours sleep today because it took me a while to get to sleep, right? And that's fair enough. That's not unusual. But about 3.5 hours after I went to sleep, I was woken up to the sound of a cat vomiting, and the vomit was on the bed. So I had to take all the sheets off the bed. There was no bed to lie in, so I guess I'm just up now. So I've just been, it made reading this week's books a little tough because like I was like sitting down on the couch to read the books and I was just sort of like dozing off. I'm like, oh, look, what's happening? What's going on?
That's what happens during the week when I'm trying to read them before bed. Is on both Titans and Green Lantern this time, I had to go back and reread the last 3 or 4 pages because I was drifting off. But yeah, the sound of the cat vomit is one that would wake the dead.
Gulp, 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 gulp. Yeah. Anyone who's had a cat will know that sound. And the problem is that if you've got 3 cats like I do, it means it happens 3 times as often as one cat. So, which unfortunately is more than I would like. But hey,
yes.
I mean, otherwise it was a fine week. I mean, TV's a bit of a mess right now because I'm still trying to get through all the Fallout stuff and get that done in a reasonable fashion. But it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get through Fallout, Shogun, and the NHL playoffs coming up. So schedule's about to get busy. I don't know how much movies outside of the theater visits I'm going to get the next couple weeks.
Oh yeah, I've looked at no movies this week. Like my movie watching this past month has been pretty bad. It's only just been stuff for shows. Everything else has just kind of been by the wayside between video games and all the extra TV that seems to be on right now. But hey, I'll catch up at some point.
But that's it. I can't remember the last time I was excited for one show, let alone 2.
Sure.
So. I'm very excited to get started on those ones. But yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like you didn't watch Yellow Jackets, did you?
No, I don't have Showtime. So I need to get it though because I do want to watch The Curse.
For some reason, I feel like you're going to like the main actress in Fallout, but I don't know why I have that opinion because I don't think you've ever seen her in anything.
She looks familiar though, so maybe I have. Let me look her up real quick. Because maybe I've seen her in something.
Her name's like Ella Purnell or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yes. You talk about that and I will see if I've seen her in stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm halfway through it just now. It's got the right sort of sense of humour whilst not taking away the weight from what's going on storytelling wise. There's still some smart character writing going on. But it's also absurdly funny at times and violent at times as well. Usually in a funny way, too.
So upon looking, I have not seen her in anything. So, but yes, we will. When I get to Fallout, we were going to start this week and then, just never got around to it. So, I'll be able to catch up because Taylor Swift just dropped a new thing. And the wife is preoccupied with her cult-like behavior, so that'll leave me some time.
It's an album. You just listen to it while you're doing stuff. Like, how is she more preoccupied on a... Like, what is she doing where it's like, oh no, I am actually booking out time to do Taylor Swift stuff? What is that?
So as we're recording right now, she is listening to it. So last night when I went to the concert with my brother, she went to her sister's house, and they listened to the whole album together. Fine. Now she's listening to the whole album on headphones in the room, like isolated, and essentially going line by line through the lyrics. Again, if I didn't know better, this is serial killer behavior. And I'm saying it with my whole chest, mostly because she can't hear me.
This is distressing behavior, to say the least.
Brother, you have no idea. But you know what? She's not robbing banks. She's not doing drugs. That said, if she starts robbing banks, we know it's a psyop. Because too much Taylor Swift.
Right, at least robbing banks might lead to some financial gain for you. There'd be a benefit to that.
Maybe. But yeah, so...
Yeah, I mean, I get that this was definitely a thing like decades ago, but I don't think I've ever in my life heard someone say, hey, do you want to come over and listen to X album?
They did it on the last time it dropped, so her vinyl should be in today. Like it said, it was out for delivery, so then she'll listen to it on vinyl. So it's a whole thing. Like I'm telling you, the grasp that Taylor Swift has on millennial women, well, one that will be studied. And Connor for that matter, who's not a millennial woman, but I was talking to him about hockey playoffs. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to wedge that into all the Taylor Swifting too. And I was like, oh my god, not you too. Feels like an Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but with music.
Very weird, very weird. Anywho.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start the show, shall we, with the
Yes.
segment that has formerly been known as the ComiXology Top 10, is currently known as Matt's Bad
You know,
Dream.
I've learned that the more I protest, the longer it takes. So we'll
That's,
just go through it.
that's true. That's very true. So choose these books, Matt. You got a guess for number one?
I'm gonna guess Superman 13.
Wrong!
Oh, Wonder Woman 8.
That is correct. Wonder Woman is number one as of right now
Wow.
on the Kindle rankings for Tuesday.
Yeah. After this issue, I recommended it to a friend, and I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you're reading Wonder Woman, but you might want to get caught up because I think you'll dig some of the stuff that's going on." So yeah, maybe not that necessarily this was a jumping on point, but
Oh, not
it's
at
good
all.
that it's number one.
But, I would definitely say go back and, catch up.
Yeah.
So number 2 is Superman. Number 3 is Nightwing. Number 4 is World's Finest. 5 is Titans. 6 is Batman Off-World. 7 is Green Lantern War Journal. 8 is Jay Garrick The Flash. 9 is John Constantine Hellblazer Dead in America. And number 10 is Catwoman. So
Wow. Remember when Catwoman was always near the top 5? Like it was never the highest selling book, but I felt like it was up higher.
not in a long time. It's not been, certainly not in this run. It's not been anywhere up high. Yeah. After that, it's just collections. Beyond that, including the City Boy collection, if that's something that's tickling people's fancy.
I like that.
Yeah. Wednesday, you got a guess?
Let's look. I didn't look. I did a bunch of other stuff waiting to start, but looking at the other books wasn't it. I'm gonna go Fall of House of X4.
That is correct. Yes, your cheating worked this time. Number 2 is Dead X-Men. Number 3 is Ultimate Black Panther. 4 is Avengers Twilight. I know they announced an Avengers versus Aliens book this week. I didn't realize they were doing Avengers crossing over with Twilight. That's a surprise. Like, the Avengers Alien book is done by Hickman, which does damper the excitement. But I will say this about the reveal, is that the logo with the AVA being made to look like the Weyland-Yutani logo, inspired choice.
Yes.
Inspired choice.
That graphic designer was cooking, as the kids would say.
Yes. Number 5 is Cobra Commander. This whole G.I. Joe line of books is doing shockingly well. I don't understand it at all. It's such an alien franchise to me. I just don't understand it. Number 6 is Thor. Number 7 is Fine Print, which is a Sejic book. Volume 2. It's not even. It's this. I'm assuming graphic novel, given that it's so high up on the charts as opposed to a collection.
Yeah, it's not even coming up over here.
Yeah, Fine Print, Volume 2. Let me click on it and see what it was. A Tale of Gods, Mortals, Love, Lust, Death, and Bad Decisions. So yeah, this is Sejic doing both the writing and the art, which isn't surprising because that was the same with Harleen. That was clearly where Sejic was sort of heading. But yeah, so interesting. Number 8 is Spectacular Spider-Man. Number 9 is Micronauts, which is a Marvel thing. And number 10 is Giant Size Hulk, issue 1. By Philip Kennedy Johnson. I'm assuming that's just like an annual to go along with his run. So, yeah, G.I. Joe stuff doing well. I do not get it, but hey, like what you like. Knock yourselves out, everyone.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about the G.I. Joe comics is that they were just repurposed Sergeant Rock, that's CC, Nick Fury, and the Howling Commandos. So, if you look real closely, that's why Marvel was doing them. And Larry Hama just kind of took those archetypes and made G.I. Joe characters so they could sell toys.
Oh, well, there you go. That's the ComiXology Top 10. We do have solicits for the month of July, so plenty to talk about news-wise in that sense this week. I don't think there was much other news. I did see... No one notable, I don't think, but they did cast the Kents for the Superman movie, but nothing particularly, super exciting. Two old people playing Martha and Jonathan Kent. What a surprise.
A little bit disappointed because I was really rooting for Kurt Russell to play Pa Kent. You know?
That's very specific.
Yes.
You had one person in mind.
Yes. So, thought that he wasn't, okay, that's fine. I can get over it. But
Okay.
I'm getting more excited for this.
Yeah. Hopefully it is good. Solicits for the month of July, though, we'll go through them. This is the first month of the Absolute Power event, so there's a bunch of stuff for that in here. We'll work through it. First up on the list is Absolute Power Ground Zero Issue 1. So this is Mark Waid, presumably doing the main story, but there's 3 other stories by Williamson, Nicole Maines, and Chip Zdarsky, probably tying into their own various current runs.
Yep.
So so this is your kind of your issue 0 effectively. It's not called that, it's called Ground Zero Issue 1, but we all know it's the alpha issue or the issue 0 or whatever you want to call it. And then we get Absolute Power Issue 1 by Mark Waid, with art by Dan Mora. So
we're getting spoiled.
Yeah,
our art here looks fantastic.
It does. I mean, what's that like cyborgy brainiac chick on the sort of the left-hand side of that 2-page cover? What is that?
If I had to guess, it's the new version of Brainiac that was teased in Superman 13. I'm getting vibes of Indigo, who was a Titans character when I first started reading that was revealed to be Brainiac 8.0. There's some timey-wimey shenanigans. Definitely vibes of that. But if I had to guess, there's going to be some fallout from House of Brainiac, and that's a character that we know already.
Sounds reasonable. Also, that was very ultra specific. As far as vibes go, that was ultra specific for vibes.
Sorry. So just real quick, when this stuff started getting, the solicits hit and people were talking about it, I saw what the vibe of Ground Zero was, and it instantly took wind out my sails. When I saw a specific character.
Oh, failsafe.
Yeah.
She's named in the solicit text. I hadn't read the solicit text yet.
Oh.
DC Epic Summer Event kicks off with a bang with the combined might of failsafe and Brainiac Queen. Do you know what? Now that they've called her Brainiac Queen, I was thinking a little Borg Queen from Star Trek. I was getting a little Borg Queen vibe from her. So as the last given Amanda Waller the ability to steal the metahuman abilities of every hero and villain on Earth. I mean, like, I'm still excited. Am I excited that they're using failsafe in any capacity? Not really. But I guess that explains why Zdarsky's got one of the stories in the alpha issue.
Yeah, and I will give Waid credit that he is very adept at playing with current continuity and adjusting stories around that, right? He's very good at playing in the boundaries that way. So I'm going to try to go in with an open mind. However, seeing what this absolute power is spinning out of, and, it makes me a little less.
I mean, I don't think I'm that concerned because my main problem with failsafe by and large, or the story in Batman by and large, is how Batman is written, how failsafe is written to be the Zur-En-Arr thing, and like, I feel like if he's just like, he's there to like function to create the plot that we're doing with all the entire Justice League, then I don't think I'll have a problem there.
Yeah.
I feel like Waid knows the voices of the characters quite well, and I won't have the same concerns. But we'll see. We'll see. Got a Batman 150, so another big milestone issue for the current Batman lineage. So as an oversized book, it's 48 pages, $6. With Zdarsky still just writing on his own, but sorry, we've got backups as well. But one backup's by Zdarsky and one backup's by Mike Hawthorne. We have art in the main story by Jorge Jimenez and Dennis Cowan. Nice cover. This is a weird thing because obviously we've not been liking Zdarsky's run, and he already had a milestone because he technically had issue 900, which happened to be right early in his run, and I didn't like what he did with that. My only hope, and this is probably a foolish hope given that failsafe's a thing in Absolute Power, so it's probably still going to be failsafe related to tie into that. But my hope would be this will be something new or separate or different.
The fact that we're getting Dennis Cowan makes me seem like it's going to be moodier than what we've gotten.
I like Moody Batman. Moody Batman's the best.
Yeah, so, but we also got art by Jimenez, so I feel like it's going to probably be balanced art styles, maybe a ping-ponging story
Maybe
something.
flashbacks or something
Yeah.
for Cowan,
So-
or a different setting or something like that.
Yeah, and that's fine because I think there's some good stuff Zdarsky's still capable of. So I'm gonna hear, and I don't think he's gonna have to tie into the legacy as much as 600, right? Where he used that as a thing to kind of go through Batman history. Here I just felt like he can tell a bigger story.
Yeah, it's not like a milestone for Batman overall. It's just a milestone for this current numbering. So
Yeah.
not as much of a big deal. So, I certainly think issue 900 overall is much more important than
Yes.
150 of this run.
Yeah.
Joker the World, which is actually a hardcover, I'll call it graphic novel, but effectively it's actually more of an anthology. But it's basically, and I was questioning what the hell this was for a minute there as I was looking at it, and I realized, oh, they did this with Batman a few years ago, where they did like, oh, it's like 12 different Batman stories, all written from writers in different countries. That's what this is. It's writers all over the world, including Jeff Johns, who's the main one there that I recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Do I recognize anyone? David Rubin sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a lot of names I don't know, which is maybe a good thing, because it's not going to be more new talent. That said, though, there's no way in hell we're doing this the week it comes out. It's almost
no, it's 184 pages.
It's almost 200 pages. We didn't do the Batman one either, for the record.
Yeah.
If they released it in like 3, 60-page chunks, I think we might have given at least the first one a try, but...
Yeah, but also the Johnson Fabric combination gives me...
3 Jokers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah. Okay, I've got a funny feeling Matt is going to blow his load over this next cover. Action Comics 1067. We have Superman, opening his shirt like he does to become Superman, but it's a classic, Golden Age era logo, and the entire cover's kind of noir with the blind shadows over his face. There's a lot going on here that I know you like. All it's missing is a sexy redhead somewhere around
That's
the page.
Where's Lana Lang? That's all I need. Yeah, he's got it's reporter Clark from like the Golden Age.
Yeah. So
he's got the hat and the tie and everything's a bit askew, but yeah, this cover, absolutely.
Yeah, so this is the start of the next 3-part story by a new team, with Gail Simone and Eddie Barrows doing the main story, and Rainbow Rowell and Cian Tormey, who I think they're doing a backup that not so much in this solicit. Well, maybe it does say in the solicit actually. Yeah, I think it's a backup. Yeah, it says at the bottom of the description. I think I saw it on Twitter earlier, which is why I knew before I even read the solicit text there. Superman fights for 2 worlds. When a massively powerful alien race makes Earth their arena, Superman must stand alone against impossible challenges that threaten locations all around the world and the lives of those he loves. A not to be missed epic tale of Superman's strength, wit, and resourcefulness in the early stages of his public career. So yeah, they're definitely setting this sort of in the past, though.
Gail coming to Superman. That's cool. I'm there for that.
It's definitely more interesting than just having Williamson do both books for 3 months.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, Gail's not like a surefire success for me. Like I've liked quite a bit of what I read from her, but at the same time, some of it's also just been fine and not special. So like there's kind of a spectrum that it could fall into. But I think the last time she did something for DC, outside of maybe like a 5-page thing in a special, was probably that Plastic Man series that she did a few years ago.
I think so. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I'd have to check, right? But yeah, no, I like Gail. I have more positive vibes for Gail than not. So, and this sounds fun. Like the whole alien race coming to Earth and Superman early in his career, trying to, stop multiple things happening at once.
Okay. So, next up, we've got our main tie-in series to the event. We've got Absolute Power Task Force 7, and this is going to be every other week, so there's actually 3 issues solicited here. So the first one's Absolute Power Task Force 7, issue 1, and then it's just 2 and 3. But when you actually look at them, it's not just like a mini-series where, it's one story with chapters. They've each got a different team, and they're each kind of a one-shot, effectively. focusing on a different one of the Trinity of Evil, who I assume are going to be something that comes out of the main story.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one looks to be Shazam focused, with Leah Williams writing with Caitlin Yarsky on the art. The second issue is by John Layman with art by Max Schreiner, and that seems to be Aqua Family in co-focus by the cover.
But also, that is also the Doom Patrol out there.
Oh yeah, I see Negative Man and the Chief and stuff. Oh yeah, okay, I see some Doom Patrol there. That's cool. And then Absolute Power Task Force 7 issue 3, which seems to be Green Lantern, Dr. Fate, and when I say Green Lantern, it's Alan Scott Green Lantern specifically. That's Jeremy Adams writing with Travis Mercer on art for that one. So, and interesting here that these seem to be, relatively speaking, one shot. So even if we don't like issue 1, it was probably still worth trying the other ones that come after. So I think the Adams one's definitely the one that I'm the most interested in. You know, at face value, but they've all got potential.
Yeah, I all three of the writers I'm a fan of. So that helps. Max Rainer doing the art in the second one. Also, Max Rainer's one of those kind of journeyman artists that does DC pretty well.
Yeah.
So at least it'll be nice to look at.
Also, having Jeremy Adams do a one shot about JSA characters does make me think, oh, are they planning something JSA related with him? I mean, I know we have the Johns book. Obviously, we have that already, but you know.
We've talked about this. I talked about this with Venditti. I've talked about this with Adams. Like, you have two guys that are more than competent once Johns wraps up.
Yeah.
You know.
And then we also have a one shot here. Well, I think it's a one shot. Maybe it's
I don't know, because it's listed as Origins #1.
Yeah, it doesn't say one shot in the text. I mean, one shots usually say issue 1 in the title. That's not strange, but it doesn't specify. So this may actually be multiple issues, but this is an Absolute Power Origins issue 1. And I've got to be honest, Matt, is that a photograph in the cover? I can't actually tell.
I can't either. It looks like an oil painting though from my computer. So
I mean, I can tell there's art, like the face that's in the background obviously is art. I can see that, but the main part of it, which is I assume Amanda Waller holding a child,
yes,
that looks photoreal at a distance to me.
It says covered by Irvin Rodriguez. So I don't know.
Which does remind me, actually, there was something else in the news. I'll just slot in here. DC have pulled some variant covers because they were accused of using AI art. Now, I like this story, not because I particularly noticed those covers or feel that strongly about them specifically, but I do like that there's a shame and a stigma attached to people thinking that you've used AI, and this just bodes well that if we always shame them, if we keep the stigma attached to using AI art, hopefully it's not something, because AI art could very easily start infecting comic books in a really bad way. It'd be very easy for it to.
Yep, easily. So yeah, and I like the fact that they replaced the covers with artists, you know, that like are big, not big names, but familiar names for DC as well, right? So like, it was just an easy thing to do to play nice. To the fans. So that's good. And they adjusted it. There's very little controversy. Like, they didn't push back and go, oh, well, we actually think this is art that has value. They're just like, oh, okay, let's end up on the right side of this.
Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely industries where AI is going to be a useful tool that it just makes sense to use. I think with creative things, though, we like a harsh line in the sand seems to be kind of forming, and it's nice that it seems to have already had an effect. Anyway, so yeah, that's John Ridley writing this book with Aletha Martinez on the art. This is the untold story of what led Amanda Waller to form the Trinity of Evil. So yeah, again, how the main sort of villain that she assembles for the book came together. So, interesting. Next up, Superman 16. Still Williamson. Jamal Campbell back on art on this issue. Interesting to see. That's cool. We have Wonder Woman issue 11. Tom King, Tony S. Daniel, and Belen Ortega on the art. So, another fill-in artist here potentially. Yeah.
Not Sampere, but Daniel. I like Daniel's Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen Daniel Neth in DC. But he was doing DC stuff when I first started reading singles.
New big name in the New 52. Daniel was all over that.
Next up, maybe the most exciting thing in the solicits for me this month is The Nice House by the Sea, issue 1.
Ooh, I did not know this was coming.
Yeah, this is the follow-up to Nice House by the Lake. James Tynion IV is writing. Alvaro Martinez Bueno is on art. It is a 12-issue maxi series once again. And issue 1 seems to be oversized at 48 pages.
Yeah.
So, yeah, obviously we'll be digging right into that.
Part 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously that cover's gorgeous. Can I just posit that when I first saw it, my first thought was, why is Chester Bennington on the cover of this book?
Oh, I thought it looked like Prince, the one that's still there. The one that didn't abdicate. William. I thought it was Prince William.
Prince William.
So I was like, oh.
Oh, okay. See, when you said the one that's still there, I thought you meant because Chester Bennington committed suicide, and I thought that's what you meant.
No. I meant the one that didn't abdicate.
Yeah, the member of the royal family who did.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought that's a dark line to say, Mav. All right.
No, not for Chester. I would never besmirch that man's name.
Yeah.
The royal family, though. Come on. But yeah, no,
okay,
I definitely thought that.
Well, let us know in the comments. Who do you think this on the cover of Nice House by the Sea issue 1 looks like more? Chester Bennington from Linkin Park?
Yes.
Or what did you say, Prince?
Prince William.
Prince William.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll see. We'll see what people say. I even want to read the description. We don't need spoilers for this. Like,
nope.
we're locked in. We care about it.
I do like that it's not just like Nice House on the Lake Part 2 or whatever. It's Nice House by the Sea. So it's still,
also,
there's themes,
I mean, it implies to me there's going to be a third book called Nice House by the Ocean.
Uh-huh.
Or River. I could accept River.
Well, I like though because it seems like it's widening the world by a bigger body of water,
Yes. So, all right. Next up, from the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives, issue 1. Sure. Not dead. We have Dark Knights of Steel, All Winter, issue 1. So this is a 6-issue mini, obviously a follow-up to Dark Knights of Steel that Tom Taylor did. Tom Taylor is co-writing this as per the credits here with Jay Kristoff, which I don't know if it's obviously it could just be them co-writing. My guess would be that it's maybe more of a story by and scripting kind of pair, but meaning that Taylor's got too many other things to do to actually write this series, so he's just handed these notes to someone and they've done the job. I'm just guessing though, I don't know. It does say though art by Triso Cons and Riccardo Federici, and obviously Federici's name does,
Also, this looks like Viking Deathstroke. Yes. I am so in.
Oh yeah, the cover's gorgeous. Is this the main Tirso Cons cover? Because if you told me that's the Mantina variant, I could believe you. But if that's the Cons cover, then he's also very good then. Because that looks gorgeous. Yeah, it's Viking Deathstroke with a beard. He's it does look pretty good.
So he's got, in case you're not looking at these, he's got the Viking helmet, right? But it's with the Deathstroke pattern, right, of the one eye. Yeah. Over, but yeah. Oh my god, that looks so cool. Yeah.
So very cool. We got Batman Gotham by Gaslight, the Kryptonian Age, issue 2. Obviously, that's the Andy Diggle and Leonardo Fernandez book. Which did we know that was a 12-issue series?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's news to me. I thought that would have been like, I was expecting like 3 issues Black Label with that, but no, it's 12 40-page issues. My. Well, hope we like it.
Yeah. So I'm looking up some of Tirso's art, and it's not. I can't tell if that's it. It's in the same ballpark, but definitely that looks more like the Matina. But I could be wrong. Just judging from a Google image search. Although no, that it comes up here on Twitter, but that might just be because of a thing. Anyways, if that's the style of art, we're gonna be in good.
Now,
company.
obviously, the interiors, even if it is him, may not completely match because covers get more time. But
right.
Anywho, Detective Comics 1087 coming up. Also pretty cover. It's Batman looking down at Gotham on fire as if it's been hit by a nuke. It's very good. We have Batman and Robin issue 11. One for Raya on the art on this issue. It's very interesting to see.
Very cool.
I do miss him from the Green Arrow days for sure. Nightwing 116. Taylor and Redondo continuing his last arc on Nightwing. Super excited. We have Batman Brave and the Bold issue 15 with stories by Tim Seeley, Mark Russell, Joshua Hale Fialkov, and Alex Segura. So cool. Poison Ivy 24. Would you like to gush about the cover, Matt?
I mean, it looks fantastic. I don't like what it means for Pam, but
Oh, she definitely dead. She's dead.
We'll see. Yeah.
Someone's pulled her out the soil and the roots have withered and died.
Well, and it also is a common death iconography to, cover the eyes with either coins, flowers, whatever. So yeah.
I suspect it's not literal, but we'll see.
No, but the headline on this list is the death of Pamela Isley, so...
It does say the death of Pamela Isley, that's true. Yeah, it's the death of Pamela Isley and the birth of Ivy Pepper.
Ivy. How dare you.
You thought I was going to say the birth of Poison Ivy, didn't you?
Yeah,
That's
I did,
you thought I was going to say. Oh, no. I had more nefarious intentions in mind.
Of course you did.
Harley Quinn 42. She's got like a Mr. Freeze dome over her head, but she's got thrower guns or something.
Yeah, she's gonna melt the ice.
I guess, yeah, that's the reason. Red Hood the Hill issue 6. I'm sure Connor's loving that book. Who was supposed to be on today, by the way, but something came up, so.
I know what that something was.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe something else came up, but when I asked him when we were talking about hockey, I was like, so you gonna pop on the show? According to him, he would have had 35 books to read in the span of 2 days. So he's like, look, I'm going to make an effort, but I make no promises.
Something came up, the piece of shit. Filthy lies.
But I'm pretty sure, if he didn't have 35 books, if it was closer to 12, I'm sure he would have made a bigger effort, but yes.
No excuse. What slacker? What slacker?
35 books.
Hey, that's, do 3 books an hour. That's 10 hours or so. It's fine. Get to work, you little shit.
Oh, God.
Catwoman 67. She looks very shiny in that outfit.
Very. Cover. all the Catwomans look shiny.
Yes. Which I want to say is a regular occurrence of David Nakayama's art.
Yeah.
Who did the cover for this. He's not the interiors. The interiors is Carmine DJ Domenico, who of course we know well. But Birds of Prey issue 11. Gavin Goodry and Javier Pina on the art inside. Interesting.
Yeah, Birds of Prey versus Dinosaurs.
Which, yeah, I'm sure that makes you happy. We got the Penguin issue 12, which is
no final issue designation, so that's good.
No. So yeah, we're going beyond 12. Yeah, I get what you mean. 12 would have been a likely place to call it if they were making it short, but it was getting to at least 18 then, I expect.
Yeah.
So, Batman Dark Age issue 4. That's the Mark Russell book. We got Outsiders issue 9. The Lost City of Canaan.
This is speaking directly to me. I love it.
As in the 80s dirt cheap film studio, Canon Films?
No, as in canon, as in I get way too wrapped up in fictional worlds.
Yeah. Oh, it's meta.
Yeah,
I get it. Okay.
This is 2 ends, not 3 ends.
What? Oh, are you counting the N at the end? I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's one N or
Because
two
if I
N's.
said this is only, if I said this is only one N, I know someone would have been actually,
People know you mean just where there would be double or single in the middle. Like, it would take a pedantic dickwad, probably named Connor, to correct you on that.
Thank you. That's who I was thinking of.
All right, Batman Superman World's Finest, issue 29. That's an interesting cover.
Yeah?
It's like Batman and Superman, like, were a wooden head where, like, they were Two-Face, where one half was Superman and Batman, but the puzzle pieces have fallen apart. It's a really interesting cover. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Dan Mora on that as well. He's been a busy boy doing the event issue as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the final issue of the arc that just started in the book, which we'll be talking about later. So we got Power Girl issue 11. Even Power Girl's dress has the boob window. Surprise, surprise.
It's her thing.
It's her cleavage is her thing.
That's they make a joke about that in the book, so that's why Leo Williams is very, very aware of this.
Dear. The problem is that it's the only defining feature of her entire outfit. So if you get rid of it, it's like, oh, now it's just like a white.
Like... And that's why they said it's her thing. So that's how she sticks out on the super family.
Yeah. I mean, they could just try slapping a super logo on there.
Maybe.
Maybe she'll subvert it by getting it tattooed onto the cleavage instead.
Oh boy.
We got Shazam issue 13, notably Mike Norton on art, not what's her face?
Yep. I know, I can see it in my head. Why can't I say it?
I'm blanking on her name, but the very
Lupacino.
Good Lupacino, yes, the very good artist who's currently on it. But still, cool to see. We got Sinister Sons issue 6, so that's still going. It's the final issue as well, in particular. Kneel Before Zod issue 7. I guess that one's an ongoing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Flash issue 11. With
fantastic cover.
Perez on art. That is a very nice cover, actually. With the sort of the moody Linda and the baby in the background as Wally's running towards the reader with all the light. Yeah, very pretty. Titans 13. Yeah, I don't want to read it because it's ongoing story wise. Green Lantern 13. Interestingly, Alan Scott on the cover of this one, who's not shown up in the Green Lantern run yet.
Alan Scott, Star Sapphire. It looks like Sinestro with the Red Lantern.
Yeah, well, which we've seen before. Yeah, we've seen him with the red before. The backup in this one is Mark Guggenheim, which is kind of funny. But it's just a backup. It's just a backup. The regular run can, go on as it is. But yeah, Uncle Googie. Green Lantern War Journal issue 11. Another pretty good cover, actually.
Yeah. John's going through it.
Do you notice it says 11 of 12 there in the solicit text?
I do now.
Yeah, so this is now a 12-issue book. They did not mention that before, I don't think. Certainly, I didn't hear it. I mean, it's nice to know, I guess, before we get there. So we know we're wrapping up to an end point. Whether or not Johnson, I just hope Johnson has something else then afterwards. I hope he's on a book of some kind.
So I was doing some research on one of the characters that pops up in this week's War Journal, and he's been telling this multi-layered tapestry of a story since the beginning. So I definitely think he has something else. This has to lead to something else. At least I would hope. At least he has it planned. Will he get to do it? Who knows? It's comics.
I hope so. I hope he does.
Yeah.
Green Arrow issue 14, which you'll still be reading, I'm sure.
Yep.
We have Blue Beetle issue 11. We got My Adventures with Superman issue 2.
Yep. Real quick, that is the last issue of Blue Beetle.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so Trujillo and Gutierrez put out there that this is their last. Hopefully they can get another crack at it, and it was an honor working on Jaime for as long as they did. So kind of sad, and I am enjoying it, but felt like the writing was on the wall. But it was a very nice message from the creative team.
Yeah, it doesn't say in the solicit it's the last issue, so
no.
Good to know. That's like 3 or 4 books ending in July, so hopefully that means they've got a few things planned for August or September when the event maybe wraps up. Or maybe there's more tie-ins next month.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got My Adventures with Superman issue 2, like I said, which we'll be reading because obviously it's a tie-in to the show, but it's Josie Campbell writing, so she is getting more DC work, which is cool.
Yeah, who's also, I didn't realize this till this week, that Josie Campbell is a writer on the show.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Okay.
Yeah, so she was talking about season 2 and how it's, they're developing it and, what to expect. So I should probably get caught up on that. I know it's very much beloved at this point.
Then we just got facsimile editions, Tales of the Teen Titans 44, Just League of America issue 1, Crisis on Infinite Earths issue 4, and then for some reason after the facsimile editions we got a few more books. We got Zatanna Bringing Down the House issue 2. This is the Tamaki book, which we're looking forward to. This is 5 issues. I don't know if we knew that last time, but
no.
Just to confirm it now, we do have it's 5 issues total. We have Boy Wonder issue 3 by June Ba. We have John Constantine Hellblazer Dead in America issue 7. We have This Land Is Ours, a Blue Beetle story. This is a graphic novel. And then we got Primer Clashing Colors issue 1, which seems to be a one-shot at 64 pages. So then there's Batman and Robin and Howard Summer Breakdown issue 1, which again is another sort of tie-in to one of their graphic novels. Then Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries issue 7 and Looney Tunes 279 wrap up the single issues. And I'll just quickly run through the collections, see if there's anything interesting. Batman Volume 3, Joker Year 1, hardcover. We got Batman City of Madness hardcover, which is cool. That was a really fun book. Great art. I would recommend that. Titans Beast World. Curious here actually. Let's just call it. It's got Titans 6 and 7 in it, as well as the 6 issues of the main mini. So effectively, this kind of makes it Titans Volume 2 if you're collecting the Titans run. But yeah, that's cool. We got Titans Beast World Tour, which has I think all the one shots. Plus it has the backups Nightwing. Or was it even the backups or was it the main stories from Nightwing? I can't remember.
I think the main stories from Nightwing, because that was the Zoo Lady.
That's right, yeah.
And then Action 1060.
So, yeah. I do appreciate that you can get the entire event in 2 books. You got the main book that has the Titans issues in it, and then you've got all the tie-ins. Admittedly, I do think most of the tie-ins sucked, so I wouldn't recommend the second one. But if you are trying to be a completionist, it's only 2 books, which is nice. Yeah, that's soft cover for both of them. Power Girl Volume 1, Electric Dreams, soft cover. Birds of Prey Volume 1, Megadeth, start of Kelly Thompson's run, soft cover. We have Batman Superman World's Finest Volume 4, Return to Kingdom Come. That's soft cover and hardcover, so they're still doing this dual solicit thing for some of them. Superman Action Comics Volume 2, To Hell and Back. This is Johnson and Co. So, cool. It's got the
this has
Night Terrors issues in it.
Yeah, I was going to say, this has Action 1057 to 1059, the Doomsday Special 1, and Night Terrors Action Comics. So,
which makes it kind of a crappy collection in that 2 of the 6 issues are Night Terrors tie-ins, and then the Doomsday Special... I'm trying to remember for the life of me what the Doomsday Special was.
No, that was where Supergirl and Bloodwind go down to hell.
Well, that's important at least to stuff that happens later, so that's fine. But it's not a lot of issues of Action itself, funnily enough. Wesley Dodds the Sandman softcover, Jay Garrick the Flash softcover, Amazon's Attack softcover, Batman Dylan Dog softcover, All-Star Batman by Scott Snyder Deluxe Edition.
Oh my god, I forgot this was a book.
Yeah, I forgot this existed as well.
Oof.
I read 1 issue of it and then just didn't look at it again.
Yeah,
it wasn't for me. Joker by James Tynion, the 4th Compendium. So this is a giant softcover which collects Joker 1 to 15, Joker Annual, Batman Joker Warzone issue 1, and Batman issue 100. Wow, weird. I mean, I guess it's mainly just that Joker book with a few extras, but still. Interesting collection. Superman the Triangle Era Omnibus Volume 1. So Yeah, this is Dan Jurgens, Lee Simonson, Roger Stern, and Jerry Ordway. And it collects Superman 49 to 63, and that's volume 2 Superman. Adventures of Superman 472 to 486, and Action Comics 659 to 673, plus Superman the Man of Steel issue 188. So this is post-Crisis. Is this post... No, it can't be, because Man of Steel 188's in there. So is this just, like, immediately post-Crisis?
I think so. I think it's the Triangle era was, I think, late 80s into the early 90s.
Yeah.
So that puts the time frame about right.
Yeah, so this is just... Yeah. Okay.
So it's from post-Crisis to Death of Superman. So it's got to be somewhere in between. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So yeah, this is an omnibus. It's 1,300 pages. They've done pretty beefy hardcovers of the Action Superman stories post-Crisis separately. But this obviously includes Man of Steel and Adventures of Superman.
Yeah.
So this is more complete, if you wanted to read that era, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, because what they were doing here was that they would tell the story over multiple titles.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what the Triangle was. It was a numbering system. So you would go to, go to the next series. So they'll probably be in order if I had to guess, right?
Oh, they will be. They must be. Because Death of Superman's like that. You have to read Superman, then... I mean, I may be remembering the order wrong, but it was like you have to read Superman, and then Superman Volume 2, then Action, then Man of Steel, and then keep doing that, because they all just lead into each other. So it was effectively just a weekly Superman book at that point. I wonder how many omnibuses that would take to get up to the end of the era, and like, because Death of Superman's got an omnibus, so presumably that's the end of that era.
Right.
I wonder how many that'd take to get up to there.
Oh no.
Curious. I mean,
a lot.
I mean, 49 to 63 for the main Superman book. That's just over 12, so that's just over a year of books. So if this era starts in like 86, 87, then you're looking at like 4 or 5 omnibuses. Yeah. Or even 6 or 7 omnibuses even. That's a lot. Oh well. Batman by Grant Morrison, book 1. So this is one of their thicker soft covers. So this has got his first like 20 issues, give or take. So, Batman and Son, and the Black Glove mainly, judging from the numbers.
Yeah, probably stops right before RAP. Yeah.
And then you got Elseworlds Batman Volume 1 2024 edition, which features an assortment of different Batman Elseworld stories. But it's 500 plus pages softcover, so it's a pretty beefy book. Same with Superman Elseworlds Volume 1. Again, it's about... Well, this one's a little bit smaller. It's only about 360 pages, but it's probably just because there's less of them. But, bunch of those. And then there's Elseworlds Justice League Volume 1, which has about 400 pages of different Elseworld stories. Mostly 1 or 2 issue stories between all these. And then they've even got Elseworlds Justice League Volume 2, which is another 400 pages. So they decided to split that in 2 because there was too many of them, I guess.
It's too massive.
Yeah. And, I mean, they're really bringing because obviously they're doing that this year with the Gotham by Gaslight and some of the other stuff. They're really trying to bring back the Elseworlds label. So I guess it makes sense they're doing these collections of classic Elseworld stuff. Interesting. Then there's We 3 20th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. This is the Robot Pets by Grant Morrison.
Yep. Apparently it breaks everybody who reads it, so I will not be.
I think I bought a deluxe of this way back in the day and never get around to reading it for whatever reason. Oh well. Swamp Thing by Rick Veitch, Book 1, Wild Things. I'm going to assume this is a post-Moore Alan Moore era.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Following Alan Moore's legendary run, Rick Veitch was handpicked by Moore to continue the saga.
I like them filling in these gaps where they're like, okay, let's make it possible to read all of Swamp Thing from its modern inception.
I like that. Yeah, I like that they're keeping things in print too. So make it easier for the reader.
Yeah. Batman 66 Omnibus. Yep, not much to add there. Batman Incorporated, the complete series. This is the modern Incorporated.
Yes.
Just to be precise.
Not the Morrison one.
Yeah. Batman Superman World's Finest Volume 2, softcover. Batman the Arkham Saga Omnibus New Edition. So this is the the various minis that were published to tie into the video games coming out. I read the one that came out when Arkham City was coming out, because that was 2011, and I was excited for collecting singles with the New 52 starting. Obviously, I didn't know then what I know now, that there was going to be all shit, but but I was excited. So as I bought a couple of minis that summer, other than Flashpoint, to sort of just have some fun reading some comics, and the Arkham City book was 5 issues or whatever, and seemed like an easy one to do. Probably the sort of thing I wouldn't even bother trying to read now, but I was in the mood at the time. Batman Volume 1, I Am Gotham, 2024 edition, softcover. So this is just a straight up reprint of the first trade from King's Batman run. Batman Volume 2, The Batman of Gotham. This is Chip Zdarsky's run, softcover. Brave and the Bold, Volume 1, Lords of Luck, by Mark Waid. Okay.
Yeah.
160 pages. Okay. Deceased War of the Undead Gods, softcover. Death at Death's Door, new edition. This is Jill Thompson. Flashpoint, reprinting Flashpoint, softcover. Okay.
Cool.
Green Lantern by Jeff Johns, book 1, new edition. So again, this is the thicker soft covers. So this is like the first. Well, it's kind of awkward and clunky because it's like Rebirth 1 to 6, and then it's like 1 to 5 of the book, and then Green Lantern Core Recharge 1 to whatever. Right. So
it's Rebirth 1 through 6, The Secret Files and Origins, Recharge, and then 1 through 3. But so that's the kickoff.
Yeah, and the reprint in book 2 as well. And then somewhat related to that is the Green Lantern Core by Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason Omnibus Volume 2, which is not a reprint. This is just them getting to Volume 2 finally, which I'm assuming is the end of the
39 through 47, 59 through 60, New 52, 0 through 20. Wow. Yeah. Then they're also adding Emerald Warriors, Blackest Night 8, Green Lantern. Yeah. So this is kind of just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, this is just the rest of it. Yeah. 1,300 pages. So if you're a fan of that era, Green Lantern, easy thing to do. So it's got all of Emerald Warriors, even, which was. Yeah. That's the sort of thing that I would suspect would be left behind, because it was kind of a separate third book that only existed for 13 issues. But for completion's sake, it's nice that it's in there.
It'd be like them adding New Guardians in there too, something like that.
Yeah. Well, at least that was a New 52 book. At least I know there's some New 52 in this, but like I'm thinking of just pre New 52, like all of everything from Green Lantern Rebirth up until New 52 is collected in omnibus between the Johns omnibuses and these two core omnibuses. That's everything basically. I'm assuming the Johns Green Lantern omnibus includes Blackest Night. I'd be maybe it must do. It must do. Ah well. Is there vacuuming going on, Matt? I'm hearing something off in the distance.
No, nothing for me.
Okay. All right. It was very slight, admittedly.
No.
Joker Kill a Smile. There's a lot of collections this month. Jeez.
Yeah.
Softcover. Justice League: The World's Greatest Superheroes by Alex Ross and Paul Dini. New edition. What is this?
So it says it's all the Ross. So it's the collections. So it collects Superman, Peace on Earth, Batman, War and Crime, Shazam, The Power of Hope, Wonder Woman, Spirit of Truth, JLA, Secret Origins, and JLA. So I think these are the companions to that Justice book.
Yeah, because Justice isn't in there, so I was wondering how it got to 400 pages. I'm like, Jesus. Because I love Justice. I thought that was a great book, but I never read all these other sort of side things. Nightwing Volume 4, The Leap, softcover. Wildcats, the complete series. That's the the modern version of Wildcats.
Rosenberg, where's Rosenberg been? That's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
He's in jail for doing too much Red Hood stuff. I don't know.
Connor's gonna have to bail him out.
Zatanna and the Ripper Volume 4. Wait, Ripper as in Giles from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer? No, it's Constantine. Yeah. This is based on the webtoon. So, yeah. And that's it. Finally, that's the end. Yes. That's a lot of collections. Mainly because there was so many goddamn reprints in there, but that was a lot. Jeez. All right. Okay, well, without further ado, Let's get into things. Superman issue 13, legacy number 856. Joshua Williamson writing with Rafa Sandoval on the art. So I'm not upset yet. I'm still having a good time. He's not ruined it yet. Yet was the key. The key phrase. The key word. Even.
And I don't know. Maybe this is the mentality to have at this point. Is he hasn't ruined it yet, and if we just keep thinking that it's going to get ruined and it doesn't, and it's just like, base level fine, we'll think that it was better than it was.
Nothing will delight me more than for it not to be ruined at any point.
I mean, and for the sheer amount of Lobo this one has, I'm not a Lobo guy.
No.
Not necessarily as bad as Jason Todd, right? Where, I can be open to liking Lobo. I just feel he's a cliche of characters that I just don't like, but that's the point of him, right? He's a kind of self-aware parody kind of character. But I think
just on that note, I think I would say Jason Todd's better than Lobo if I was forced to pick.
I don't know. I don't know, because I think we've had our eyes open to competent writers handling Jason Todd well.
Well, this is my point, though, is that Lobo is more of a gimmick. He has his catchphrase, he's got his attitude, and that's all he is. That's all they ever do with them, by and large. Jason Todd, while he's mostly annoying, at least he's still a real character in the sense that I'm like, okay, he's got trauma, I understand what makes him tick. You can tell stories with him. I understand it.
The first time I heard Bastich in this, I went, oh no. But again, with Williamson, it turned it around, and it added a little bit of layers to Lobo on here. And I think that he's kind of a perfect foil for Superman, because he kind of is that chaotic kind of character that plays off of Superman very well, right? Because Superman's like the blue Boy Scout and whatever. So of course he wouldn't get along with Lobo. And here I feel like Williamson gives them ties them together with their pasts in a way that should have been obvious before. And maybe just because I avoid Lobo, it was kind of new to me. But yeah, I did not hate him.
Yeah, I don't have anything strong to say about Lobo in this issue. He has that conversation with Superman when they're on the bikes about their mentalities, basically. But so he goes to get Lobo to try and help find the Zarnians, and he's pretty, he's not there to joke around. He just blasts Lobo in the face with heat vision right away, and Lobo even recognizes, okay, something's pissed you off. This is more serious than normal. And he very quickly there's a line that kind of explains, and this isn't a surprise, I guess, but when Superman shows him a photo of like the main Zarnian that was attacking him, it's like, oh hey, I've heard legends of this guy. Rumor has it that he took over a whole city, but then the city disappeared. And I went, oh okay, that answers it then. Brainiac stole the city with all the Zarnians in it. Easy peasy.
And he was the biggest, baddest, scariest guy, and then he was just gone. So it even added to the legend status of General Chakal. So I kind of like that as well, because it plays into the whole, Lobo being the last Zarnian. And, so there were stories of these guys, and they just mysteriously disappeared.
For me, though, the real fun of this issue, because it was the Lobo Superman stuff was fine, but for me, where it really kind of came together was the stuff on Brainiac's ship with all of the prisoners, Supergirl, Livewire, Parasite, Supergirl sticking up for them and saying, hey, stop torturing them, stop doing whatever, and Brainiac questioning it, and Supergirl being like, hey, I know you, Brainiac, I've had enough of this shit. When I get out of here, I am going to beat the piss out of you. But Brainiac, something interesting here is that he's like sick, kind of, like where he kind of like has this sort of shock, and like green stuff starts pouring out of his nose. And they're all kind of freaked out by it. But interestingly as well is that they're all in bottles, so they're all small. They've all been shrunken down, all the prisoners, right? So it leads to this interesting thing where the cliffhanger at the end of the issue is that Supergirl manages to get herself, and I'm not on the page yet, but was it New Superman?
It's Con.
Is it Con?
It's
okay.
Connor.
It's Connor, okay. She's got like some tech, and she's like, hey, I know a Brainiac from the future, and obviously Brainiac 5, and does some doohicking with the controls or whatever, and she gets them out of the jars, but they're still like the same size. They're still, we're doing Honey, I Shrunk the Kids on Brainiac's ship with Supergirl and Superboy, and that's pretty funny to me.
Yep. I love that, and
especially since Supergirl's so angry, which just makes it all the more funnier.
yeah, well, and I like that Kara, because Kara's she'll always be tied to Brainiac because of Argo City and all of that type of stuff in her origin. So I do like that it's her as the one that's pushing that part of the story forward. But I also like that Williamson's tying back in some of the previous stuff from Superman, where Connor brings up that the Chain had told him about his tactical telekinesis, and how he wasn't using the power to the full potential, So I do like that he's reminding us there that, there's been these little seeds planted throughout. But yeah, I do like the little shrinky dink Kara and Connor dropping down by Brainiac's feet there.
It's a fun cliffhanger, and it kind of like, the first issue, this was fun, and this issue was fun, and I think I have no expectations for this to be a great story in terms of like, oh, this was like a story that's going to define Superman's. It's not War World Saga, right? Mm-hmm. But if it can just stick to the things that make it entertaining, and I think them being shrunken but try to survive sneaking around on Brainiac's ship, that to me is a fun time. And there's some other interesting stuff here. They tying into like what's going on continuity wise right now. They're like, hey, we have to go find Brainiac's ship, but there's a blockade on Sector 2814. Obviously, that comes out of the Green Lantern stuff. And then two scientists from Supercorp are like, hey, we think we can make you a small enough vehicle that'll get you past that undetected. And it ends up being two space bikes. So Superman's got a nice big red space bike that he's driving. More interestingly, though, is like Brainiac talks about how, knowledge isn't like, he's got a lot of knowledge, right? He's collected a lot of places. Now he's more interested in trying to create something. And we get almost like a Mr. Freeze's wife kind of thing, where there's like a woman in a tank. Now, I don't know if this is just like he's building like a bride or what. Because I think when I first heard him say that he wants to create something, I thought he wanted to create a world. Because that's, he collects cities and stuff. It made sense in my head that he'd want to create a world. But then I see this woman in a tank that he's like talking to as he's like concocting his plans. And I'm like, oh no, is he making a wife? Is that what's happening?
So I don't know if he's making a wife or it's his progeny, right? Because we know that there's other Brainiacs in the future, but they're not necessarily descendants from this one, right? Because I don't know my Brainiac 5 lore a lot, but I don't think he's directly related to this version of Brainiac. I think he's just Kaluan. I could be wrong though. But them bringing back Lena Luthor through all of this and her having the Brainiac stuff, I definitely feel if that's not her, maybe it's a clone of her. Because, them bringing up that she was prisoner of Brainiac and she had been turned at one point through Our Worlds at War. And the fact that we're getting a Brainiac Queen coming up in absolute power. It makes you wonder if that's the thing, is that his progeny, this Brainiac Queen, is going to be a combo of him and Luthor, and that he gets sideways. Because I definitely feel he's dying and he's trying to,
Sure.
But he has all these different versions of himself, right? But those are him. He wants a new version, not just an upgraded, but something that's going to take his mission past where he could. So I definitely like that through line for Brainiac.
Yeah, the Brainiac stuff is interesting to me, especially since it's probably going to tie into the event that's coming over the summer. But yeah, I just can't emphasize enough how fun the ending is, where Silver Banshee's trying to scream out of her cell, but Kara's able to do the doohickeys, and that last full page spread of like her and Connor, but like the giant feet behind them for the Brainiac that's walking around. So yeah, honestly, I mean, it's an entertaining issue. Lobo wasn't too annoying. At the very least, I like the idea that his first instinct as well. I mean, hell, I assume you enjoyed the wrestling call out.
Which, hold on.
To be the main man, you've got to beat the main man? Come on.
I mean, as a guy that I've never been much of a Flair guy, however, so yes, but I wrote this early, so
nor have I, but I appreciate the reference. Yeah.
No, I get that, because that is a thing that continues in wrestling, right? Like it is a, but yeah, I read this early in the week, so I definitely forgot that line. I was more concerned the fact that they're at the Warriors bar in Coast City, which is Guy Gardner's bar. So the fact that that place is still around, and it seems to be the biggest, douchiest place you could ever go, and that's where Lobo is.
The place where Guy Gardner goes? Oh, what a surprise.
Yeah. So, but yes. But yeah, definitely the Brainiac, being sick. I thought that was handled. That adds a bit of a mystery to this because they put him in that vat, and then he comes back out and he's seemingly like he's okay for the time being.
Which so interesting detail there is he seems to be getting into that vat of liquid. That seems to be the same liquid as whoever's in the tank. It's the same color, it's the same design. I think they're clearly telling you that whoever's in that tank is of the same, like being as Brainiac, same species or whatever, or same type of cyborg, whatever you might call it. So, that's I think that's a good bit of visual storytelling with the coloring, if nothing else.
For sure. Yeah. And then again, the art is pretty decent throughout. I do like the layouts here. Like when we get to the Lobo and Superman stuff in space, I feel like when you get a lot of space stuff, there's a lot of empty because they'll try to show the vastness. But here it stays close on them, right? We never lose the fact that, like yes, they're in space, but it's not like they have a mission that everything's very, brought into focus. So I like all of that.
Yeah, I also appreciate them addressing the fact that they can't just leave Sector 2814 just now. It's a nice bit of like overall editorial, just keeping all the books feel like they're part of the same world without it feeling like it's weighing it down to. Because I mean, this solution ends up being really simple and easy. Yeah. But like, it's just nice for them to mention it and address it, and like, no, this is still a thing that's going on in space, and we're not ignoring it. So I appreciate that. So. And
of course it's space bikes, right? Like, because it's Lobo.
Yeah.
So that also gets for a fun reveal.
Well, that's the whole point of it, is that Lobo is known for the space bike, so now Superman's got one too.
Yeah.
So there you go. What are you rating Superman?
I'll give this an 8.
Yeah, honestly, I'm thinking 8 out of 10 as well. So far, pleasantly surprised. I'm still expecting Williamson to ruin it before we're finished. Yeah. Because I've been here before. But this is definitely the most I've enjoyed his Superman, I think. Yeah. In general. There's been 1 or 2 decent issues, but like I don't think I've enjoyed any 2 of his issues back to back like this.
Yeah, I'm very invested in the overall story here. The story that's being told across action and Superman. So by me, it's just a pacing thing at this point.
I mean, I think it's just that it's better, because like, because if it doesn't matter that it's between the two. If this was just in Superman or just in action, I think it'd just be fine. But anyway, Wonder Woman issue 8, legacy number 808. This is Tom King with Daniel Sampere on the art. So Wonder Woman got captured not last issue.
2 issues.
It was 2 issues ago. But you know what I mean? The last, before we did the flashback or the side tangent issue, we had her captured. And this issue is all about the Sovereign having her wrapped up in the lasso of lies, which is not the name of it, but I can't remember the name of it. So
yeah. It's the lasso of lies.
Is that just straight up the name?
Yeah, because there's the lasso of truth. So it's meant to be the polar opposite.
I assumed there was something fancier than that, but that's fair enough. Fair enough. So we do obviously see him like in this dark room interrogating her and basically whispering at her saying, hey, you're going to accept this, you're going to accept this. But a lot of the issue is like inside her head, and it's almost like the lasso is trying to make her envision what her place is in the world. Yeah,
so there's a definitely creepy element that made me feel uncomfortable, right? So mission accomplished by King and Sampere.
Oh,
right?
For sure. It's basically in her head, she's imagining, or the lasso's showing her as a housewife to Steve. And
like
she
mid-century era, like Mad Men style.
Yeah. So she's a housewife to Steve, and she is subservient. Steve is this asshole version of Steve, where he's constantly saying, "Where's my dinner?" He's making complaints about everything she does. It's basically every stereotype you can think of someone talking down to their wife and expecting the wife to be weighing on them hand and foot kind of thing.
And basically being told this is your place. This is where you belong. And sure, you can't cook dinner and the house isn't clean, but you sure are pretty, it's, this type of stuff. And, that stuff made me a bit more uncomfortable than what we see in reality, which also made me feel uncomfortable.
Well, this is more subversive. It's more Stepford Housewives-esque, where it's like programming her to be something specific. And it does that thing where all the dialogue, at least up until towards the very end of it, is all like under the spell, if you will. It's all like her answering like she's supposed to answer and having a smile on her face no matter what shitty thing he says. But there's thought bubbles, and the thought bubbles are these little nuggets of truth kind of coming in. It's basically her mind trying to resist the lasso that's wrapped around her hands.
Because you can tell that it's some of the stuff that the Sovereign's telling her, but she's processing it, right? So as those thought bubbles get through, it, when she's vacuuming and she's like, I still hear her, my queen, and it gets going. But as she starts to think about it, it shows her vacuuming. She like grips the vacuum too much and breaks it. And that's like her breaking as well, so some great visual storytelling there too.
Oh yeah, that's there, but that's later. I'm just because you never actually hear him talking to her in these scenes. You only ever hear the Sovereign speak to her when it's in the room with her tied to the chair. Obviously, there's the narration boxes from the Sovereign, but that's the Sovereign talking to Trinity in the future, like he's been doing the whole book, since issue 1. Right. This is very much, we only get to hear what he's saying to her when we're back in there. And it's very this sort of traditional dark interrogation room where she's like tied to a post and he's like sipping his cognac or whatever it is as the lasso of lies is like tethered over to her. Like he's just trying to influence her with all and he's talking about the Bible and how it says that a woman belongs to her husband and needs to serve him like you serve the church, like you serve your sovereign. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, and he plays all that, and then he even says in his narration to Trinity, he's like, we're not particularly religious, but if I can use something to bend others to my will, I'd be dumb not to use it. Yeah, so it's just
he's blatantly just kind of being open about the fact that religion's a tool to control people rather than something that they actually care about that much or believe in. It's more about, this is what will keep the sheep in line, so we will peddle these ideas to them.
Yeah, and in that he talks about how his dad, like he says that we understood our place in respect to the high and the holy church. And he says, our father had invoked the name of the Almighty to demonstrate how small we all were. And so basically, he takes the Lord's name or whatever, and his dad smacks him at the dinner table, and he looks over and his mom doesn't do anything but sit there and smile still. And that's when he understood the true power of all of this. And I was like, oh my God, Tom King, this is creepy.
Like, we effectively see some of these kind of things play out in the, in her head. At this, she's made him dinner, and Steve is complaining about it, and she's being apologetic but smiling. And when she says, oh, I'm not having anything, I have to watch my figure, he's like, oh, good, as long as no one else is watching it. And then she reassures him, oh, no, I belong to you, no one else. So it's really playing on all these like really misogynistic ideas that we see time and time again, like constantly. And it's all just building the servant wife. So all of this is like it's almost like as she keeps saying like she's sort of muttering out words as Sovereign's talking to her, like, you're a liar, you're my mother was real, blah blah blah. Like she's trying to resist the best she can. And we get to this great thing where even when she does, obviously there's a sort of the darkest moment of the issue is probably, I'll say darkest, the lowest point of the issue in terms of like her fighting back, or when you feel like she's really vulnerable, is probably when she tries to be defiant and she looks up at him, because he's basically thinking that he's got her, and he's like, hey, You want to be a good girl, don't you, Diana? Like the dog. That's the other thing. He compares it to a dog.
Oh God,
He talks about how he had this dog who was a servant and like always like rolled over to show that it was obedient, and you're going to be like you're going to be like the dog, aren't you, Diana? And she puts her head up and says, "I'm imagining how your Adam's apple's going to feel when I hold it tight." And then he pours the wine over the top of her head, and it's really demeaning. It's like super, like, you know, like this guy's been at the sleazeball the entire story, but this is really like getting to the heart of it. And that's actually what leads into the scene you were talking about earlier with the vacuuming, where she gets angry and like breaks it without realizing, and throws it through the window. But what I love about this is that she keeps repeating throughout the issue that the lasso is of Amazon origin, and therefore it can't be broken. And she keeps reiterating that throughout the issue. And it's towards the end where she she's down in her luck. It feels like she's given in. You know, the sovereign's put on his crown. He thinks he's won, and he's doing a whole thing about, you're not a son, you're simply a daughter. That's all you are, right? Again, very demeaning. And inside her head, where she's actually upset now inside this world, she's on the floor crying, Hippolyta shows up. And it feels like it's actually... It seems like he's winning, right? It seems like this fantasy's taken hold, because she shows up and says, you are, and you're sort of subverted into thinking this is like, oh no, this is her, like, seeing Hippolyta to kind of like finish off this thing. But then Hippolyta kind of swerves you. Like the Hippolyta in her head actually turns it around, because Diana says, it's of Amazon origin, this lasso cannot break. And Hippolyta reminds her, you defied me, you put on a mask, you did the tournament, and you left the island. Yes, you are my daughter, and I told you the rope can't be broken. But when have you ever done what I tell you, and when have you ever believed me? Cut to Diana in the real world snapping the lasso like a chain and grabbing the sovereign by the neck, which was beautifully set up. Her threatening to crush his Adam's apple earlier on, and then doing it here at the end, was so satisfying.
Well, and just her, you know, as she, you know, it goes from looking like an extreme close up kind of on Hippolyta. It says, when did you ever believe me? And then as she fights through, she breaks the lasso, and Diana, when she goes to grab at him and goes, in your majesty, I do not believe you. And just that balance there between those two pages is just really fantastic.
Yeah, the entire layout on that page, where she sort of smirks a little bit as she realizes she's fighting back, and then says, yeah, I don't believe you, I don't believe your God, and I don't believe your lasso. Because this lasso, we've seen it work on others. We've seen it work on people who have committed suicide because of what he's convinced them with it.
And it takes the point of like I was explaining the story to my wife earlier today. Now, you know, I want her to read this issue. I think she did you know, this whole thing with what's going on with women in culture right now, especially in this country. And you know, how does Wonder Woman fit into this? And so as I'm explaining this to her, and I'm trying to remember what I had told her about how sometimes lies can be more powerful than the truth, because people want to believe those lies more than they want to believe the truth, because the truth, you know, the truth hurts. But with Diana and her whole thing about the truth, and that the truth is more powerful because it's not the lies. And that's what you have to accept. And here with her mom basically saying, like, yeah, when did you ever listen to me before? Why start now? And essentially the truth is what you make it. I thought that was some really beautiful storytelling, and it was this scene really got me, you know.
I think what I really liked about this and how it was written to fit into what the story's doing here is that it's almost like the Sovereign's story, or the thing that he's saying here about how you are not a son, you're but a daughter. I love the idea that actually is what lost them the fight with this lasso, because calling him a daughter is effectively what provokes her to think of her mother, and instead of that being a weakness, when she thinks of her mother, it becomes a strength. It becomes something that reassures her of who she is and what she is, and that gives her the power to fight back. So I love that subversion, both in terms of how it's told to the reader, because it's really exciting, because it feels like the Hippolyta thing might be part of like her failing.
Yeah.
Right? You know, it feels like, oh, this is it, like wrapping up, like her own mother's going to tell her now that she's not worthy or whatever. And
it's
then
the final dagger.
Yeah.
Right?
But then it swerves you and says, no, when have I ever stopped you from doing anything? You know? So it's basically, to compare it to something else, you know, it's the line from Batman Begins, right, with Alfred, you know, why do we fall? You've never given up. You still haven't given up on me. Never. You know, it's kind of that sort of, but arguably stronger here, to be honest, in terms of this moment, dramatically. So really, really good stuff. And then, it basically ends with her going supercharged with, they're all basically shocking her with batons, trying to get her off the Sovereign. And she's just sort of like staring them right in the eyes with all the electricity around her. It's super badass. It's such a great ending. So
your toy broke, Your Majesty. Do you have another? Such a good.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. There's a couple of pages we did skip over because it does cut away briefly to what the Wonder Girls are doing.
I love these three. These three are becoming like they're so great.
This was like much needed levity, because this is such a downer of an issue until the ending, obviously, where she fights out of it. But it's such a depressing, like I say, Stepford's wife issue where Wonder Woman is being forced into this like classical housewife role against her will, and it feels, you know, skeevy and awful. And then you go to the Wonder Girls, and Cassie is firing an arrow to try and hit an apple on the head of Sergeant Steele, who they got at the end of last issue. And she's like, how tall are you? And he's like, 6'1". I mean, 5'11". I'm 5'11".
Yeah, well, because she's blindfolded at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, she's trying to fire an arrow blindfolded. And what I thought was funny about him correcting it, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit funny that he okay, you know what, I'm lying, I'll be honest about my height. But lying about being taller actually helps the arrow miss your head in this case. So why are you telling the truth? If anything, say you're 7 foot and then she'll aim all the way up. However, she hits him right
in the thigh.
Almost his crotch. Like, it's right on the cusp of his crotch. Right?
In fact, Yara mentions that you probably nipped off one of his, like, and then it censors, I'm assuming balls.
Yeah, I think it's balls, yeah. But honestly, Sergeant Steele yelling his height and being scared while this is happening was really funny. And then Cassie saying, okay, I'm going to go again. And then Yara's like, no, it's my turn. And I'm like, this is just next level torture. They're just having fun.
It's that, and it's also, you know, on the opposite is, you know, we see Diana bound by the lies. Well, and Steele's also, well, Sergeant Steele is bound up to this tree as well. So there's also, you know,
there's some mirroring,
mirroring going on here.
Notably, Wonder Woman is fighting against this horrific thing that's happening to her and fighting against it, whereas Sergeant Steele is yelling and crying like a baby and just begging for them to not fire arrows at him. There's a delightful kind of parallel there of like how much of a stronger character she is versus him.
Yeah, the "it's my turn" cracked me up so much because it is just funny her pulling Cassie pulling the blindfold down and then pulling back up, going, I'm gonna go again, and then you are just going, no, it's my turn. Like, it was, because it sounds like she's going, no, we've gone too far, and she goes, no, it's my turn. Like you said, very much needed levity.
It sounds deadpan as well. The "it's my turn," I can imagine an actor saying that, and it just sounds very deadpan. And then Steele just yells out, "What the F do you want?" Which implies to me that he's about to spill whatever beans they want to be spilled. So, this was a great sort of release in it's not even the middle, it's like 2/3 in, but it's
I believe that's called catharsis, right? Like, but yeah.
So,
this issue, despite making me feel very uncomfortable, was I'd put it up there as an all-timer in this run. You know, granted, we've with this team we've had 6, but everyone, it seems like this one, I will remember this one more than some of the others, just for the storytelling that it's done.
I think much like a lot of the issues in this run, it's very focused. It's got a clear point that it wants to make by the end. I think it does it very well. I think it does such a good job with the art, not just because it's very expressive, and obviously here we get this very different world where it's, like I said, very Stepford Wives, and everything's bright colors, and she's smelling all the time and all that. And then you've got this complete opposite, which is this dark, grungy room where the Sovereign's sitting in a nice big comfy leather chair, but otherwise it's this dark, grungy location, and it's all moody and atmospheric. But I think it's really interesting is that the art always tries to show the Sovereign how he clearly sees himself, which is that he puts the crown on, he stands up, he's got the lighting, so there's shadows all over his face, and it's like, I'm important, I'm in charge, and you're going to break because I'm the Sovereign and you're just a woman. And then it's really satisfying when Diana like breaks out of that. And yeah, so yeah, it's super satisfying. I love how there's so much red in the background once she breaks the chains as well, because that carries into the next pages. With you know all the other guards coming into Shocker and stuff. They really let the red seep in on those last couple pages in that room. So very good. Yeah, very, very good. There's also a backup, which is Damien was supposed to be looking after Trinity at the Fortress of Solitude. John comes back and he's like, "Where is she? I can't find her." And he's like, "Oh, she had a paper on Samurai, so I gave her the time sphere to go and just talk to Samurai." And he's like, "You what? She might alter history. That's very irresponsible." And so they do this thing, right? And I actually was ready to like complain here because the first time the costumes change, it comes out of nowhere and they don't set it up. So there's just a page where John's like yelling about like, "What the hell did you do?" And he's like, "It'll be fine, Damien, it's not going to be fine." And all of a sudden, like John's wearing like, it's like a Donna's red Wonder Girl outfit. And Damien's wearing what looks like Superboy's outfit. And I was like, did they make a mistake here? Did they forget which characters they were drawing? What's happening here? However, a couple of pages later, you realize the joke is that reality keeps being rewritten as she's changing history. So we get different versions. We get a version where Damien's in the classic Robin outfit, and John's in the Golden Age Superman outfit. Then we see them as cowboys. Then we see them as chimps. Then we see them as robots. There's a full page spread of Lizzie on a horse fighting an army of samurai and just like having the time of her life. It looks like something out of Iran. Oh god. The art in that page is particularly good actually. I love the samurai in the foreground who's just making this like angry face as he wields his sword. Love it. Great.
And just the coloring matches too, like the kind of watercolor of it. It like everything looks like it's happening in Golden Hour. So yeah, it looks great.
And then there's more jokes about Damien and John turning into different things as the timeline keeps being rewritten. And the joke is like we wouldn't even know if it's changed. So on the page with the chimps, for example, imagine we might end up in a world where we're not chimps, and Damien's like, "Don't be ridiculous. Of course we're always going to have fur." Like
furless, sure, Super Ape.
But then they're Kingdom Come versions of their characters. Then they're Alex and a Joker, and then they're female, and then they're old men, and then they've both got Starros on their face.
They're Star Bros,
Oh, Jesus. It was very funny. It was sort of like, it's one simple joke that's really over the top, because the suggestion is that she's went through so many changes that eventually they landed on the original timeline again by the time she was done.
Well, and I like where Lizzie's fighting with the samurai, and they're having a discussion about he's asking questions, but she's the one that was supposed to be asking questions. And he's like, "Oh, is this your uncle?" So my Uncle Clark once saved the moon, or saved the universe by singing. And he's like, "Is this the uncle that dresses like a flying mouse and hunts clowns at night?" "Oh no, that's my other uncle." So there's a lot of humor sprinkled throughout. As this samurai is trying to understand the concept of superheroes while fighting this girl.
And they even play off at the end, like Robin and Superboy or Superman are going to be birds when she gets back. And she looks at them all funny, and they say, "What's wrong? What's different?" And she's like, "Can't you tell? I'm a samurai." And she's got a samurai outfit on. And that's basically the end of the thing. And he's like, "You better get an A on this paper." It's just, honestly, like, these backups have just been mostly fun more than anything else, which does contrast nicely with how heavy the main story is.
And I think that's true with the backup too. Is it's when you want to back up, like you want it, you know, it's not necessarily adding to the story, but it's not taking away. So it's filling in these gaps for, you know, Trinity, where I'm sure we're gonna get a big reveal. You know, like because the whole story is the Sovereign talking to her, right? Talking to Lizzie as she broke all these rules to visit him in his prison. You know, so I'm sure a lot of this is gonna inform, you know, her personality when we finally get to see her.
It's really funny that it's King still writing these backups, because you wouldn't think it was. You'd think it was someone else doing the backups, but you know, Chloe's got a lot of silly ideas that he wants to do as well, just as fun little one-shots, effectively.
Yeah.
But it is really building this idea of the relationship that she has with these two as she grows up. So, which may be important. You know, it might feel good that we spent this much time with them all interacting once we get further down the line. But who knows? Really good stuff. So yeah, now back on form after that kind of weird, you know, fill-in issue. This was a great return to form. And like you say, it's you know, like I think there's maybe like been 2 issues out of the 7 main issues that have been like less than amazing, and they were still great. And this is kind of straight into that top tier again. So what are you giving Wonder Woman?
I'm gonna give this top tier score, and I'm gonna use the 9.5.
Yeah, I think I got to agree with 9.5. Yeah. It's excellent. It's it's definitely, and this is saying something with Nightwing being a thing right now, but I think this is probably my favorite ongoing right now.
Yep.
Very, very good. So excellent stuff. All right. Speaking of which, Nightwing 113 Legacy number 300. Tom Taylor writing with Daniele Di Nicuolo, Bruno Redondo, and there was more names on the cover, although on Leah Comic Geeks only had those 2 listed for art. But we'll have a look and see. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I guess they're probably doing something kind of special for this, since it's a anniversary issue, specifically of Nightwing rather than Dick Grayson, which is why I think they went with the route of honoring the people who turned them into Nightwing directly later in the issues, which we'll get to. But Nightwing and the Robins, that being Tim and Damien, are dealing with these like smugglers and in Gotham, and they're like, yeah, this wasn't meant for here. It was meant for Bloodhaven, sorry. But Bloodhaven's hard to get into right now, which later turns out to be because the pirate ship with because
of B. Captain Blood.
She's blocking people from getting into the thing. But the main story of this, outside of a few things that are building up the Heartless story, is that Dick's doing nice things for Oracle and like letting her sleep in, for example, and gets her some breakfast and whatnot. And she's like, what is this? This is your day, Dick. Why you be? I'm not allowed to be mad that you're being extra nice to me because it's your stupid birthday. And he's like, yep. So yeah, this was just kind of fun. It was, you know, it was nice and sweet. That
because he pulls that card on Damien and Tim too.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, you know, let us do stuff. He's like, no, this is what I want. So just, you know, it's my day. You have to listen to me. And then it's the reveal that it's his birthday, and he's trying to do nice stuff for Babs and stuff too. Because he's selfless.
Yeah, she normally won't let him. And the whole book starts off with the, you know, people mistakenly think I love the spotlight because I'm from the circus, and it all builds up to, but I was never on my own in the spotlight. I was always with my parents. So even now, I prefer someone being there in the spotlight, which builds up to the big payoff that we don't know what it's building. I think I just thought it was a birthday party, but obviously as the issue goes on, it becomes clear it's something more than that. And it's actually he's getting the key to the city at a presentation from the mayor, because he is, you know, because he's done all this stuff for the homeless people in the city. He's built these shelters. He's made the city a better place. And he pulls this swerve at the last second where he's like, oh yeah, it's not just me. And then like Jim Gordon pops up behind him and says, hey, I'll take the dog, Babs. And turns out Barbara's also getting the key to the city. And she's annoyed about it, but it's kind of sweet. It's a nice little thing. You know, I enjoyed all these elements. Obviously elsewhere you've got the build up of the main story stuff with Heartless, yeah, like seemingly he's building an army. Like these guns that were being brought to the city seem to be him. He's got a logo now that he's sort of branding dead bodies with that he's murdering. So,
and then they even mentioned too that it's weird because he goes from a serial killer to somebody that's smuggling in arms to build, to have urban warfare. Something doesn't check out, which I do like that they're picking up on that too.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, they are here is good, but you can tell it's not Redondo in a lot of it, and it did it felt different stylistically for sure.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. Like it's fine, but I don't know. It's a bit manga.
It's a little bit like that, yeah.
And I always hate using that as why I don't like it, because again, it comes down to taste. Because there's actually nothing wrong with the art. The layouts are fine. The expressions match where it need to. It's just, it's not my.
It does its job. It's just a lot more pointy and angular than the Redondo would do it. So even though the coloring feels like it's matching, it does feel a little bit different.
And when you do get to the Redondo art, towards the back, it sticks out.
Yeah, but that's quite late on. But I do like that when they're broadcasting this ceremony of them getting the keys, you get like a sort of page. There's a page with like 6 panels. One is Gordon in the crowd, basically saying, "Hey, we did a good job, didn't we, Bruce?" And Bruce is like, "Yeah, we did, Jim." Which does raise the question of how friendly Jim is with Bruce outside of being Batman. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about.
The only thing, if their kids are dating, they would definitely have had them.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So like I want you to meet my dad, and
Yeah, but you see the Birds of Prey reacting to it. You see the Kent family reacting. You see Red Hood watching as he beats up a thug, and it's this is like a very 80s thing, but the TV's in the store window have got it playing.
Yeah.
The Titans are reacting, and then just for fun, the Imps are also reacting. Nightwing's awesome, as Nightmite says.
Yep.
So, and he's like, "Hey, where do you want to go for dinner after?" And they go to a pizza place because Dick's not fussy. He wants to go to a simple, nice pizza place that he likes, which happens to be called Marv and George's Pizza. And I have to admit, I was kind of tired when I read this, and it didn't click when I saw the name. It wasn't until the next page when he's talking to the owner, and like it's clearly Marv Wolfman, and then there's a photo of George Perez on the wall in the background.
So I was gonna say they've been here before because we pointed this out when he first opened
I'm not surprised
the Alfred Pennyworth, the Alfred Pennyworth Center. This is where they got the food from to feed everybody. So I do like that callback around that. This is where yes, it's his day and he's celebrating him and Babs getting the key to the city, but he's also using it as a an opportunity to help out others. And it's where we get Marv. That's very heartfelt. What Dick Grayson and Nightwing. What the character that they built.
Yeah, it's a sweet choice, especially the idea that George is passed away in the comic as well, so he's just on the wall. That kind of hit more than anything else, to be honest. It was like, oh, we're actually going to treat him as if he's passed away, because they could have just drawn him. Like, there's no reason why they couldn't have done that. But so yeah, I just think it's an interesting choice. But yeah, so there's pizza. He talks about how all the people he's helped over the years, and gives them this speech, and says, "Oh, we're so proud of you. George was too." It's all very sweet. And then the ending is basically just Heartless, who looks a bit more dapper. He's got like a sort of cleaner mask, and he's like,
he looks kind of like, you remember Tiger Shark from I think it was Tiger Shark, right? He's the guy that runs like the auction house. He was in the
vaguely familiar.
The Snyder. Yeah. This is who he reminded me of. So I
he's leveled up. He's got like a white suit on now. And basically it's like, okay, Dick Grayson is now like at his possible happiest. Now's the time we're going to make him fall. So feels super menacing, and it's like, I'm kind of glad they didn't, like, I was kind of half worried that they were going to do a big shock thing at the end of this issue. Something bad was going to happen to Dick or someone else. And I'm glad they didn't and just teased it for later, because I felt like this is a celebration issue. We should just we should be able to enjoy it. I mean, tease that stuff's happening, because we're still doing a story. We still want to have a cliffhanger and, make people excited for what's coming. But just let us enjoy the happiness. It's
definitely keeping the Daredevil vibes, right? Because it's definitely a Kingpin thing that we've seen where, how do you kill the man without fear? and you put put the fear in them and all that stuff. The scene's very much how do you rip someone's heart out and you build them up to the happiest they've been, and then take it all away, So,
yeah, and he's been building an army by the sounds of it. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, next issue is the start of the final arc.
Yeah. Don't like that, but change is scary. But we'll get through it.
It has been a 3-year run. By the time this is finished, it'll be 3 full years, which is not bad at all.
No.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see like who gets Nightwing after Taylor, but I mean for now we get to just enjoy the end of the ride.
Yeah, for sure.
And this Heartless stuff's been what it's been building to since the start. Like Heartless was introduced, I think, in his first issue.
The very first issue.
Yeah, so super exciting, and yeah, good stuff. Back up here as well. Worth mentioning, and just to confirm, it was just Redondo and Nicuolo on the art in the main book. Yeah. And then Marv Wolfman did write presumably his own dialogue.
Yeah.
Because he's just listed for pages 20 to 21.
Which I do like that he gets a credit in the 300th issue of the character he helped create, right? Because he didn't create Dick Grayson, but he definitely created Nightwing. So the fact that he gets to write the on the 300th issues.
That's what I was saying earlier. This is a celebration of Nightwing specifically, not Dick Grayson, right? This is 300 issues of Nightwing. Obviously, when we have an anniversary for Dick Grayson, celebrate his time as Robin, celebrate the entire run. But this is specifically that, hey, we've had 3 issues of this since 1996. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, cool. Back up. Was just ended up in a super quick read because there's no dialogue in it. Yep. It's basically just this action scene of Nightwing waiting for the subway to go past, and then he has to like run up the track and jump out of the train. And he's climbing on. They're going over a bridge. He dives into the train. There's a lot of motion lines, a lot of that stuff. And it's basically he fights a bunch of goons who are wearing kind of like mime makeup, all to the point where he finally gets to this bomb that's about to go off. And it's kind of like that moment in the first Captain America movie where Steve jumps on the grenade, where it's like it's too late to do anything, so he just like tries to cover it with his body, and then it doesn't go off, and it's just like it's a relief. But it's like, like he was willing to sacrifice himself. So yeah, I will say I actually, Howard Porter can be hit and miss when he's not doing like Flash, but I actually thought this art was very good for what it was doing. Yep,
I was like, oh, this is definitely Howard Porter. All the motion, it's very kinetic.
Yep,
kind of. This is the type of story that fits his skill set.
Yeah, the page where it's like Dick's at the front of the train, but the panels from inside the train looking at him coming through the window, and there's just all these like yellow speed lines outside the windows. I thought that looked very, very good.
Yeah.
I really like this. This is the sort of thing where I would not be opposed to Howard Porter. I wouldn't like him on Taylor's run on Nightwing because that's had such a distinct style. This would feel like too much of a shift. But if like he was the artist on like the next team, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
No, it was good, and for a second it took me a second to realize it was Howard Porter, right? And once we got to the speed lines, it clicked. But yeah, so I think the style fits Dick pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. Nice layouts, nice sense of motion. It feels like a great action scene, and it's nice and simple. And I'm sure Michael Conrad, who wrote it, did contribute, but it feels like this is almost all they are doing the talking. So
you're like, hey, look, we're gonna have him on a subway. There's a bomb. It doesn't go off at the end. Do your thing.
I feel like his script for this might have been one paragraph. Just describing what the events were, and then Howard Porter just went and did it. But maybe maybe I'm not giving him enough credit, but it feels like that's all it needed to be. But nice and simple. All right, what are you giving Nightwing 300?
I'm going to give this a solid. I won't say solid. I'll give it a 7.5.
7.5. I am definitely going a bit higher than that. I think obviously not been Redondo, and most of the art does knock it down a little bit, but I still like the city stuff. I like the overall sentiment. I like the tease of what's coming. I like the backup. I'm tempted to go 8.5, but I think I'll just go 8. I'll just say 8. Okay. I think the art just kind of maybe knocks it down a little bit, but I did like it. I thought it was a nice, sweet issue 300 as a milestone issue. It felt like a nice, it felt like a nice look at the character that feels like it fits where we are now with the character, as opposed to, we're going to shoehorn in a bunch of references to a bunch of old stuff, even though it's not been relevant to what he's been doing. They didn't do that, which is nice. So cool. And I think that page showing you everyone reacting to it in TV, it just kind of shows, oh, here's all the different groups of people in the DC universe that all care about Dick Grayson. It's a nice summary.
Well, like they included the Kents too, because his relationship with John, but also with Clark. That was a nice little,
Yeah. So Titans issue 10, Tom Taylor writing with Lucas Meyer on the art. So this is obviously continuing the Trigon stuff and Raven's whole thing. I must say, I got a good couple of laughs last issue out of Trilogy, the son of Trigon. I got a lot more laughs out of him this issue. The opening where he's trying to steal the magic axe from Trigon's room, and the other dude shows up. What's his name? Servalis. And he's like, "What are you doing, Trilogy?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm sick of Raven getting all the attention. I'm going to go deal with this." And he grabs the axe, and the axe instantly turns him into as big as Trigon, basically. Yeah. And he's like, well, if I let you walk out of here with that, make sure you remember I let you out of it if you do come out of power. He's like, how could you stop me? He's like, oh, I can't, but I could go tell your dad what you're doing and enjoy what happens next. He's like, all right, fine, I'll remember this then. and then
I will remember.
Trigon pops his head out afterwards and goes, okay, is it done? So this is clearly what he wants. He planned for his idiot son to do this.
God, he is a failed trilogy. We get that in movies a lot, right? Nothing more than this failed trilogy. But I kind of like how much of a lovable loser he is, I don't want him to succeed, but I do feel bad, he's just trying to be a good son.
It's so funny, actually, because I'm watching Shogun right now, which is almost done, but there's definitely, Toranaga in that definitely orchestrates things for his son or other characters that play into his plans, and I got a little bit of that here from Trigon messing with Trilogy.
So you're saying that there's a Trigon-esque character on Shogun? I am so much more in.
Yeah, and he's not the villain, actually.
Whoa.
Well, they could maybe swerve us at the end, but he's definitely more shades of grey than he is villain.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, here, and then also Servilius going, how come these power-up items, what did he say? Why do these items of power always add muscle definition? Right? Because Trilogy goes from just being kind of like this scrawny, he almost looks like Red Devil, Blue Devil's sidekick from early Titans, to this Hulk-esque jacked demon. Very funny.
Yeah, so back at Titans Tower, there's a little bit of talk about Donna saying, hey, yeah, Raven dealt with that fake Hermes, and I'm like, yeah, Donna, by the way, that was the real one. Maybe why he heed that warning. But they're basically talking about that Wally's not there for now because he's busy with Flash stuff, which makes sense. He's in a bad place in Flash. We also immediately get an example of Beast Boy now being just kind of happy-go-lucky, and Cyborg and Starfire even are wondering, why is he okay all of a sudden? And Starfire even turns to Raven and says, did you do something? Because there's no way he's over that quickly. That was too traumatic not to be.
I like that Starfire says too, I come from an emotional people. I know deep feelings don't change so swiftly. And evil Raven is shocked, oh, I didn't think his friends would notice. So I like that little story piece right there.
Yeah, and she kind of admits to it to an extent, obviously without the full context. And Starfire is about to give her a lecture, but then that's when they get a call from Oracle saying there's a thing going on in the water, and Tempest goes out to see what it is.
I also like that early on they ask, it's Nightwing and Donna are we're gonna need a sorcerer, it would be nice after the stuff that we've been through. And they're like, well, who do you know? And then that was a nice reminder that Tempest himself is a pretty accomplished Atlantean sorcerer. So that was a nice in universe reminder.
But this thing in the water turns out to be a big portal opening, and it's our boy Trilogy jumping out, who's jacked like the Hulk,
Yeah.
with his big axe, and he's storming through the streets, coming for Raven. And the Titans are like rescuing people around. Beast Boy has a moment where this guy doesn't want to be saved by him when he's turned into a horse, and the girlfriend of the guy's like, George, swallow your stupid pride and get on the horse.
Yeah,
So,
get on the devil horse.
so they get out. But yeah, Raven obviously steps up front and also tells them, hey, the axe is the source of the power. You want to deal with that. Everyone kind of gets involved. Cyborg and Starfire kind of distracting him. Whilst Donna lassos his hand, and then eventually Raven's able to, well, because he says something to the effect of, oh, you'll never get this axe away from me.
As I'm holding it.
Yeah, and she cuts off his arm really, really violently, and of course the axe falls to the ground, and he turns back to normal size. Of course, now he's missing his arm, and Raven drags him by the horn and says, "I'm going to take him back to hell, somewhere where he can't bother us again." And she walks off holding this axe, dragging him across the ground, and it already looks really dark. Like, guys, are you not noticing Raven's acting a bit weird? But interestingly, Trilogy gives them a seed, because as they're going through the portal, he yells out, "No, don't let her take me. You don't know what she is, you," and then it cuts off because they go through the portal. And there's just a close-up of Nightwing's eyes, like, they've got that seed, because Trilogy knows what he's talking about here. He knows that Raven's not actually in control. It's, it's Dark Raven, or whatever we're calling her. So I love that this seed's been planted now, and maybe they're going to like figure things out. But yeah.
I also like, if you look on that panel, look at her shadow.
Oh yeah, that's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
the demon shadow.
Yeah, well, and also, right, if the same rules apply to the axe that they did to Trilogy as they do to Raven, good luck getting that out of her hand now.
I mean, I don't think she'll keep it. I think she'll probably just give it back to the Trigon. But
I don't know. Yeah, the Dark-Winged Queen. That's what we're going with.
Yeah, Dark-Winged Queen. That was it. So she actually traps Trilogy in the gem, just like Good Raven is. So he's put in there with her, and she's all, yeah, evil. She makes herself a crown out of light. It's all very spooky and like villainous and whatnot.
Yeah. So I like the fact that she put Trilogy in there with Rachel, because again, reading that Tales from the Titans, they were playing up on the relationship of, the guy that Trilogy is, like how Rachel is also Raven. I forget his name, but how they were going to try to be closer, and that might be good because, the one thing that unifies them is, Dad's always trying to manipulate them. So I like here that she puts him in there with her, and, hopefully we get some more of their relationship.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the final page of the book sets up the other antagonists right now, which is Amanda Waller, and she's with Morrow, and she's got Dr. Morrow building her something, and we kind of get a glimpse of this sort of female-looking robot called Vanadia. I'm going to pronounce that. But they do bring up here where, like, one of them asks, like, oh, who was she before? Like, where did you get that? Which presumes that either there was a base robot or a base woman that's been used to build this thing.
Yep.
And he just kind of says, oh, does it matter? I do wonder if that's going to come up at some point. Maybe, like, whoever this was to begin with is going to either turn out to be someone, or maybe we'll sort of learn about whoever the person was, and it'll be, like, part of, like, appealing to their humanity or something down the line.
Yeah. She kind of reminds me of that new version of OMAC that was from Superman and the Authority.
Oh, I can see
that was
that.
on World. So I wonder if it's something along those lines of like a cyborg type warrior.
I did do that thing in this page though, where there was a second of doubt where I'm like, is this just like a big character that I don't know? And I'm just like, oh, am I meant to recognize who this is? But no, it does say on DC Wiki first appearance. I did check.
Okay.
Just to be sure.
Yeah.
So. But that said, though, I do think they could swerve us into it being, someone was used as a base for this, or even if it is someone completely new, then maybe whoever they were will come up and we'll learn more about them in some way. But I do think it's interesting. It does make me wonder, like, are the Titans going to have dealt with the Rachel stuff by the time this Vanadium attacks?
Yeah.
Or is that something where they're going to be like fighting this cyborg looking chick at the same time they're sort of still starting to doubt Raven and try to deal with it? I could see both of these things happening simultaneously to make their lives just absolute misery.
And this seems kind of tipping to what we know about Absolute Power as well, that Waller's putting, a team of these super powered things. They almost seem like a Mesos, almost, right? Like they're copying superhero stuff.
Well, I mean, it did occur to me this bot does look very Starfire colored, with a little bit of cyborg and like because that metal plate on the head looks very cyborg-esque.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if by the time we get the full version that there's maybe a little bit of all the Titans kind of sprinkled throughout the design.
And usually I'm the guy that knows this, but T.O. Morrow is the guy that did Red Tornado, right?
Yes. Red
okay.
Tornado.
So I wonder if that has something to do with it as well, right? Because he does androids.
I don't blame you for asking, because Ivo, Morrow, and what was the other one that I always mix up?
Magnus.
Magnus, that's the other one. There's the three robot-y scientists that I always mix up at DC.
And only one of them's good. Right, and that's Magnus. I know that one. But
that's the Metal Man.
Ivo's a Meso, and then T.O. Morrow is Tornado. So all the O's, Silver Age. They thought adding O to things made it sound more scientific.
Yeah, and Red Tornado became good.
Yeah, but there was also the 4. I think that was it was around the New 52, where there was the 4 others. So they were all the elements, and they all had different names. There was like Red Inferno, Red Tornado, Red. I can't remember the rest of them, but Morrow definitely works with the androids. So this kind of leans into the solicits this week of where Waller's going, which I do like that. We don't necessarily need to write through the continuity this way, but I do like when it seems there's a couple writers that are working towards the same goal. So it seems like Waid and Williamson and Taylor are all kind of sharing notes.
Yeah, I thought this was a really entertaining issue again. I'm loving the ongoing story, and I think everything with Trilogy here over these last 2 issues has been very funny, which is a credit to it. I think it's a really good example of Taylor knowing how to make even just the simplest of like stories have a fun vibe to them, whilst also still building up the drama that's building in the background, which is Raven's secretly evil Raven, she's doing all this stuff. And there's these little seeds being planted for the others, or even the tease at the end with Waller and building this new villain. Like, I think this is a very high quality ongoing comic book in the same way that Nightwing is. And I think it's like really finding its footing with this arc, where I'm like enjoying it more than I even have been up until now. And it's very comforting to know that this will still be here for at least a while when Nightwing's done.
Yeah.
So, really cool stuff. Plus, I think Meyer's art has been really solid. I think, again, all the Trilogy expressions, because he's such a sort of slime ball who gets this power but doesn't really know how to wield it, is entertaining. Just really, really good vibes from a lot of this. Even something as simple as Starfire's reaction when Raven kind of admits that she did a bit of a emotion wipe with Gar is quite good.
Well, and just his expression on Trigon as the disappointed dad, it's going, he can keep going back to that well, and I'm going to pop for it every time.
He's just the Immortum Joe from Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
Mediocre.
Yes. And Trilogy's that poor war boy.
Yes.
He just wants to be looked at with favor. But yeah, it sucks that Meyer and Sampere are dropped on the same week this time around, because I love them both for different reasons.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what you meant there. I was like, you mean for like picking a winner later? Okay.
Yeah, picking a winner. I mean, as a fan, we're eaten. Yeah.
Like, for sure. Yeah. Like this is Our art on this was great. Love it. I like week 3 is just a bit too stacked. It's not even just that there's more books in week 3 right now. I feel like a lot of my favorites are in week 3, so it's really stacking the deck against the rest of the month. All right, what are you giving Titans?
I'm going to give this an 8.5.
I agree. I think 8.5 is a good number for it. I think I can't quite give it the 9. Part of me wants to, but it just isn't into like sort of special territory, but it's really, really great. And like
it's getting close to it, though. It keeps touching the boundary.
Yeah.
You know.
So, very good. Green Lantern War Journal, issue 8, Philip Kennedy Johnson with Montos on art. And we now know this is a 12-issue book, so we've only got 4 issues left after this.
We're entering the last arc. This is the three arc structure. You
mean act?
3 act.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired. Not arc.
It's been pretty much just one arc, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I'm tired, guys. I've had too much caffeine, but also not enough. I'm at that weird third zombie state.
That's fine. So yeah, we've got a Lantern Shepherd going to Guy Gardner's place to try and get help. And Gardner's too busy. He's off hunting Lobo or whatever he's doing in the backups of Green Lantern. But his security system turns on, which is all Green Lantern stuff, and talks to Shepherd. And Shepherd explains what's going on. He's like, I hate multiverse guys. But if you have to help John, I do have something that might help. It's in the back of the closet. And then when we come back to this, I'll just get to it now. At the end of the book, it turns out the thing that he's got at the back of his closet is the Book of Oa, which might help with everything going on. So, and Shepherd's like, you've got this at the back of the closet behind your shoes?
Yeah, no one's going to look there. I can think how that's why Gardner put it there. But yeah, that was all a lot of fun stuff. Just the Green Lantern construct of like the camcorder and the security stuff. I thought that was all very inspired, silly art.
Yeah, obviously the main bulk of the issue though, it's John trapped in this, like, you know,
the Dark Star of the Fen.
There you go. That's what they called it. Yes. But they're, you know, he's getting to know these others that are trapped in there. They're fighting these big sort of constructs that are kind of like the Radiant Dead energy, but they're not actually the Radiant Dead.
Not quite. Yeah.
They do point that out, so it's good to know that. Obviously that character that was in here from before, who I don't know if we mentioned this on the show, but someone did tell us in the comments that's a character from Warworld that we just forgot about.
Yes and no. So I did some research on this before.
Oh, go on then. All right. What's the deep dive?
The Warworld character was Bila Esh. This is Bila Vok. All right. And I know that seems okay. Yeah, I know that seems like not a big detail. However, he first calls John Stewart the Builder. Right, and the only people that call John Stewart the Builder are people from where Lantern Shepherd's from, right? However, what we learned about, which I forgot about until this deep dive, until being reminded also, that Bila Esh was a servant of Olgrun, the first, you know, of the first world, the old god, right? Who gave one of the super twins the power. He has the fire of Olgrun.
And Olgrun is brought up in this issue as well. They talk about the power of Olgrun.
So Olgrun, also from the Warworld saga, was so powerful that the rest of the gods had to separate him into 7 different aspects, and they scattered it not across the universe but the multiverse. In the grand scheme of things, of Philip Kennedy Johnson telling this epic story, right, is I feel that Bila Vok is also a servant of Olgrun, but from whatever we're in the multiverse that the Builder's from.
So this is only the second of 2 parts of 7.
Yes. And that Ultho, I think it's Ultho, who has the fire of Olgrun, whatever power Bila Vok is using to keep, you know, the hole open, which we'll get to, keep the Dark Star open, is probably the second aspect. That's why it's trying to come through, because it's not being used. I think, you know, it's trying to unify with the other powers, right? Because Olgrun, I feel like the end game for Philip Kennedy Johnson is Olgrun coming back together.
I can see some big event. I don't think this means 7 stories, though, and one per story. I suspect maybe you'll get one more, and then there'll be an event where the first part of the event is the last, like, 4 of them all quickly coming together or something.
Something along those lines. But I do like
interesting.
That, you know, that it makes it feel like this is not just, you know, Superman Warworld story. This is a story across DC, you know, that Philip Kennedy Johnson's using his, you know, he likes the high fantasy kind of stuff. And he's throwing that into the superheroes, and it's making it feel epic in that way.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, when they were mentioning Olgrun, I was like, okay, like this deep sort of pull from his other run is quite interesting, because he's doing a lot of interesting things, even just with the characters on their own here. You know, John steps in to try and help the people who are trapped here, which he does. And we get back to them later. We go back to his mother with the, you know, the construct of the sister. But notably, a voice starts coming from the window, presumably of her dead husband, saying, "Let me in." You know, that girl's not real, stuff like that. And then we see all the guards outside the house, who are all constructs, by the way. They're all just part of the constructs. Are like, "Hey, we detect some radiant like energy in here. Something's got inside." And we see just the creepy eyes watching from like a crevice up in the ceiling. So I like this. This was a fun little horror movie kind of moment.
Yeah, I like that all the constructs are Marines, right? Like John. So of course that's part of his. As we know, his sister is part of, you know, his essence. That's why he left her behind to take care of Mom. So I do like that. That was cool. But yeah, the creepy eyes at the end. I was like, ooh, this is a tone shift. I like it.
Yeah, it's a fun little vibe because obviously you've got like just sort of antics almost with Shepard and Guy's interactions, because that's just mostly fun. This is more like horror movie, simple, like there's an evil force coming and like can the constructs protect her kind of thing. Because, you know, it's specifically going after the mom and like try to tell her that this is a lie and try to break her. And you get a couple of, you know, there's that panel where like a tear goes down her eye, and it's not until the daughter goes back out and like sort of comforts her and says, "Hey, come and, you know, lie with me." But she looks still kind of distraught when she's lying down.
Yeah, and as the sister's saying, it was just a bad dream. But it feels trying to comfort her.
It feels like she's just trying to comfort her, but is it too late? Like is the bridge been crossed kind of thing? But that's interesting. But yeah, the aliens try to explain to John that they're trapped in here and that the big the black star that's there is kind of like a singularity that sucks people in, and that's how they got trapped here, and nothing can get out. So it really sets up that there's no way to get out, kind of thing. But you know, that's when our character here, Bela Vok, jumps in and starts offering his help effectively. So, but obviously he seems quite, you know, villainous as he's saying it, though. It feels like he's
and that was kind of but don't forget I forgot in Warworld when Clark had to get the fire of Olgren, he transformed into this gigantic worm, and essentially Superman had to prove his worth if he's worthy of the power.
That's true.
Right? Which then he turns and gives it to Ultho. So I'm wondering if here, because it says Violet's saying that, you know, the gravity storm's the only thing keeping the creatures contained, and there's no end to them. And without it, the time-space reach, which you call the Dark Star, will grow till its poison light is all there is. So it's kind of like this push and pull thing where, you know, they're at a stalemate, and that's why they're stuck there. So it adds that level of difficulty for John too. But him being the builder, right, he thinks of things all on that level that you feel like this is his test, like Superman's test was the worm.
Yeah, curious to see where this goes. Definitely it feels like a reread of Warworld Saga followed by this before whatever Johnson does next would probably benefit everyone, I think. But it does feel like an epic kind of sprawling thing that's, you know, be really interested to see if he gets to do whatever he wants to do with all this, because this doesn't feel like it's ending it. You know, this doesn't feel like it's going to wrap all this up. It feels like no, we're just going to end whatever this chapter is with John Stewart, and that's it.
It almost, and I don't want side quest to sound like it's beneath it, but it does feel like a side quest in the grand scheme of things. Well, you know that
I don't think that's fair, because I feel like the Olgren stuff in Warworld Saga was also pretty minimal. I would say that the Olgren stuff has just been like a background. Well, maybe background's too strong, but it's been a smaller part of things that are doing their own stories as well. Because this Olgren thing, I don't think necessarily. I don't think that ties into what the Revenant Queen and the Radiant Dead are, or the other stuff going on in the book. I think this is just where they've put John Stewart is going to have him cross paths with this. That'll then feed into whatever he's building in the same way that we also have part of it in one of the Super Kids going forward. So it feels like whatever the next thing is, I presume again it'll be Johnson doing a mini or maybe a run on a character, and part of the run will, like this, feature another part of that puzzle.
Yeah.
And then, probably after that point, maybe they'll finally do like, okay, this is the old run Chronicles or whatever they'll call
Something
it.
along those lines. Yeah. Well, that's what I meant by side quest, and I didn't have another way to process that, right? But it's a piece of this that's going to join up to the larger story.
Yeah. No, pretty good. Obviously, Montos' art is fantastic once again. Yep. We're really spoiled this week. I think the moodiness. Stuart at one point puts on like that lantern armor. He makes a sort of construct of armor to sort of fight the big dragony thing, and that look quite cool. Yeah, it's expressive. It's good with the shadows. I mean, I say the same things every time, but very, very good. And the emotional stuff with the mom is still hitting really hard. And so much of that is on how the artist is like managing those reactions and expressions on their faces. So, yeah, very good. All right, what are you rating War Journal?
I'm gonna give this one a 9.
Oh, okay. I'll let it go that high. I did enjoy it. I think it'll read better when I've got everything from Warworld Saga fresher in my head again. But I am digging what it's setting up and where it's going. So I'm going 8 out of 10. For me.
Yeah.
So cool. Batman Superman World's Finest issue 26, Mark Waid writing with Dan Mora on the art. So I've had this book for over 2 years now. Fancy that.
That's crazy.
I know it doesn't feel like it, but here we are. So yeah, we're doing the whole storyline with the imps, and I have to admit, I wasn't anticipating the storyline all that much, but this was mostly a fun issue. I don't have many complaints. I think, it starts off with just a fun thing where it's like Batman, Superman, and Robin walking like they're action heroes from an explosion. And then immediately they're like, hey, what are we doing? This is hurting my eyes. And the imp's like, oh, sorry, we want to look cool. So we put an explosion behind us. And then they explain what's going on, that their Green Lantern imp got killed, and that no one believed them that this villain was coming until it was too late, and now we have to deal with it. But the main bulk of this, although actually I don't want to gloss over this, there's a moment here where Batman gets in Mixie's face and says, okay, you're coming with me, because they're going to split up because they've got reports of different villains popping up with their imp counterparts, two at the time, so they're going to split up, and they're swapping imps. So Batman's taking Mixie and Superman's taking Batmite. And Batman gets in Mixie's face and says, no joking, no pranking, acting only in my orders. And he's like, oh, I'm not scared of you. What makes you think I won't just turn your car into a banana? And then there's just this great big panel of a close-up of Batman's eyes just scouring at him. And the very next panel is a POV shot of Mixie just holding up his hands going, all right, message received, don't kill me. I thought that was funny.
It's very funny because it's just the brows. Right, just Bruce squinting, as hard as he can. I love that, and he puts the fear in the fifth dimensional imp.
I mean, honestly, I think the only reason why I wasn't excited is because I didn't like the annual story. I thought the annual story was annoying because it was nothing but imps. But seeing Sinestro with Sinimp, I don't know, what do you
Sinimpstro?
Sinmite, that's what they called him. There you go. Sinmite. And then later on we had
it was Parasite, right?
Yeah, it was Parasmite.
Right, hold on. It was Abracadabra, right? That was the one that Superman goes after.
Well, yeah, no, obviously I wasn't trying to remember who. I was just remembered what the imp was called.
Oh, gotcha.
That was Paramite. Well, yes. I thought it was going to call him Paramite, but then it was Parasmite, and I thought, but that sounds like the city, Parasmite. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, but no, I thought like the little like version of Sinestro with his sticky outy mustache and really like accented features was I don't know, I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, and this is where I love Dan Mora, right? Because he draws these cartoony versions right next to the actual versions, and they both feel right. They
do, yeah. So, and notably, this is Sinestro. He's got a yellow ring, but there's no cord yet. So he's in his classic sort of like dark blue pointy sort of outfit with the black.
Yep, the Jester-esque.
Yeah. I thought that was entertaining. And then Mixie's like, oh, like these guys have got these ultra powerful rings. Who wants superpowers? Because he's with Batman and Robin. And Batman's like, don't be ridiculous. And then Robin just jumps out and goes, me, I'll have superpowers.
Do your thing.
Next page, he's got this like altered costume with a big R going right across his chest, like a Superman logo.
Yeah.
And he's like flying. He seems to have all the Superman powers, more or less. Meanwhile, in Central City, Abracadabra's there, and the Might has given him like actual magic, right? It's not just the technology from the future anymore.
Right.
So he's beaten Superman quite readily, and eventually Superman's like, hey, sometimes I wear a suit that deals with kryptonite, it'll block kryptonite. Can you make me a suit that'll deal with magic? And he's like, of course I can. And then immediately gives him this bat armor. He's got a Superman logo, but otherwise it's bat armor. He's like, of course you had that. Well, how long have you had this in the chamber? And he's like, don't scratch it. It's for his birthday now.
Yeah. Well, I also love that too, Waid, is the difference between Batmite and Mxyzptlk, right? Whereas Batmite is this, he wants nothing but acceptance from Batman, and he's the ultimate fan. Yet Mixie is just this mischievous, kind of spirit of chaos. And so to see them partner off with the other ones, that really shows up, right? Because here with Batmite, he's looking all sad because he's like, we got to get out of here. And he's like, you can't stop me. He goes, not by myself. And just the art here on Batmite, to then when Superman's like, well, could you make me an armor? To the, he pops right back up and is now, the Batmite that we're used to, So I do love that Waid's playing off of that of course Superman's going to, be nice to Batmite in a way that, Bruce would be annoyed by.
Yeah, he's playing off like this idea of the fanboy, and Superman even tries to explain to him that, hey, I get that you're a fan, but like this isn't fun for Batman. He's like got a deep, like he has to do this. Like even compared to me, he's got this mission. Whereas when I save people and try and do good things, it brings me joy. It doesn't bring Batman joy. Like he feels like he needs to do. It's a calling for him. And so, keep that in mind. And then he immediately just says something that just deflates the entire thing, where he's like, oh yeah, but he's, it looks pretty fun. Like it's pretty fun though, right? So I enjoyed that. They set up this idea as well that there's, they teased this in the annual as well. There's some villain that's creating all these extra imps and like controlling them. And Sinestro imp mentions that, or Sinmite, Sinmite, whatever we call them. Yeah, Sinmite's like, hey, Earth's heroes are being tested, and Batman's like, for what? And we just get this page of like whoever the hooded villain is. I gotta say, again, the art here, Joker Might being like these big sort of buck teeth kind of character is really funny, and then the fact that Lex Might just looks like Elmer Fudd is really funny to me. It's really good. It feels like more the thing. Waid and Mora are just having fun in the playground and just like whatever's in the toy box that we can make references to and sort of have characters bounce off each other. It's good. It's a good time.
And I love that both villains in this issue, right? Kadabra and Sinestro both have mustaches. Therefore, their mites can have overly, accentuated mustaches. Because it really sticks out there on the bottom of that page. Yeah,
for sure. And we do see who the villain is actually later on, and it's a sort of Joker-esque looking dude, but he's like almost Temerian with the like. At least that's what the coloring made it look like.
Yeah, he's got like orange. Yeah, this guy. There's something about him that's familiar, but I just don't know if that's the art with the eyes and whatnot. So I definitely did not get caught up on trying to figure out who this was.
It cuts to the fifth dimension, and he's making a Catwoman imp, basically, as if he's making more of them, and he's got like sort of like almost like a hypno eye, I'm trying to describe it, but he's also got like purple, not dreadlocks, that's not what they are, but they're like, he's got like
his hair comes up almost in like a mohawk kind of.
Yeah, it's like those sort of thick strands kind of thing. And I was like, okay, I have no idea who this guy's supposed to be. I don't recognize him from anything. So I don't know if this is just like some sort of sixth dimensional Joker or something. I don't know.
Something along those lines,
But, yeah, I don't know. We eventually see that they end up all having to come together because another villain shows up with his mate, and that's a Parasite. So we get Parasmite. Maybe that's what they're going for. They're going for Parasmite because they're smiting people. I don't know. Anyway, he's juiced them up. And the cliffhanger at the end of the issue is that he's able to suck the third dimension out of them. Like, that's what he can now absorb. So the final page, Superman, Batman, and Robin are all like classic, Silver Age looking characters on the wall, like they're graffiti. And that's it. And then Batmite's final moment is like, oh no, Superman was right. This isn't fun.
Well, also that in conjunction with Parasite at the top, going, this is picture perfect. It's like, oh wait, you knew. He fist pumped when he wrote that. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, like the over the top expressions of the cartoon characters of the imps, like that Batmite at the bottom of that last page with the look of like shock and sadness, is just really good. The art throughout is fantastic, and it really adds a lot to the book and makes a lot of it fun. But it really does feel like they're just having a blast, like dealing with these like jokey versions of the characters. I'm digging it. I'm digging it more than the Kingdom Come arc right now. Like, I'm having more fun with this.
Okay.
Because the Kingdom Come arc eventually just devolved into a lot of fighting. Whereas this, I feel like, at least so far, I've not had a lot of it yet, but so far it feels like almost every page is making me smile or making me laugh, and it feels like it's playing with its rules, and how the imp versions of each character are enhancing the powers of their villain. So it's like, oh, now Sinestro's ring's twice as strong because he's been supercharged by Sinestromite. Parasite's able to absorb more stuff because his imp has done that to him. These ways that the villains are getting souped up is kind of interesting, and I'm curious to see how they do more of that with more villains, maybe in future issues. I don't know what effect Joker might has on Joker, but I'm curious to see them try.
I would love for it to counter each other out, or
just makes them sane.
They're just like, wait, what are you? Or he's like, oh, you're finally here. One of those type of things.
I love Joker just shoots him in the head. That just doesn't give a shit. He's like, go away.
Maybe not shoot him in the head, but definitely hits him with a fly swatter or something.
Despite what Jeff Johns says, there's only one of me.
Yes. That actually would be perfect. Or, oh no, not another one.
There's no room for a fourth Joker. Get lost.
That'd be funny.
Oh dear. Yeah. It was just an entertaining time. Like, I thought it was a very easy read. I was smelling a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So the only moment where I kind of went, oh, I don't know about that, was when we saw the villain, and he's like this orange Joker with like purple mohawk. I was like,
and like a scar on his head. Like, there's some weird stuff going on. So
yeah, we'll see. All right, what are you giving Batman Superman?
I'll go with an 8.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I had a good time. I had a good read for comics so far. Jay Garrick, The Flash, issue 6, Jeremy Adams writing with Diego Olortegui on the art. So this is wrapping up this story, and I think it's a solid ending to the book. I will say, we ended with a cliffhanger that Judy got captured by Elemental Man.
Dr. Elemental.
Because
he's like Dr. Doom. He's got the mask and everything. The mask and the hood, and
But I will say, it felt like the whole run or the whole series was building to whatever this payoff was going to be.
Yeah.
And it basically just amounted to Jay running in and saving her. And that was it. There wasn't really much more to it.
Well, and there was some nice emotional beats there too, because the whole thing that Elemental wants to do is he's going to supercharge all of the water on the earth to become that hard water that gave Jay his powers, and that he feels that Judy's his creation because the whole metagene thing, right? Because Jay didn't have this power until he gave it to him. He tried to replicate it in Joan, and that didn't work exactly. But then here's Judy, so he knows it can work. But it's going to take out, 90% of the population. So of course you have to stop it.
is going to kill 90% of the population, but the 10% that remain will all get superpowers.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're a psychopath. That's a lot of billions of people you're going to kill.
Yeah.
So, basically Jay eventually just has to run around because he's... Dr. Elemental, he's got like every Star Labs in the world kind of like turns on, and there's beams of light coming up from all of them. Very, very like generic third act of a blockbuster, blue beam of light getting out of the sky stuff.
Complete with the light beams.
Yeah. But Jay has to run around and take them all out to stop this from happening. I do like that Judy just kind of trash talks Dr. Elemental, and she never really kind of loses her fire, which is kind of fun. But yeah, we also have robot enhanced sharks.
Robo sharks. We have robo bears. Now we have robo sharks. The sharks have hands. They got laser beams attached to their heads. Like,
well, I would say they've got claws more specifically. They got
hands, but still, I got to that page. I was like, oh, this is fun. But I like what it does with the idea of Jay and legacy. That's the emotional thing that I was getting to, where he was like, I didn't know I had a daughter until a couple of days ago, and now they're trying to take her away from me. Not again. And the whole idea of what legacy means to the Flash and all of this type of stuff, and that it starts with Jay. And I really like that.
There's the moment where he phones Joan and says she's been kidnapped, and she's like, you make sure you get her back. And it's probably the nicest scene of the issue.
Yeah.
When Jay finally arrives after destroying all the Star Labs devices that are doing this, that's a great page. There's a lot of detail in it because he sort of crash lands, and it's because of the water's kicking up around him. But you've got all the yellow lightning over the top of it. It contrasts really well with the light blue water behind it. So the page, I just think it looks like a really nice panel.
Because he's racing essentially the signal that's gonna go, to all the different labs, to set off the Dr. Elemental's bomb essentially. So, so it's definitely he's racing against something.
Yeah, I feel like this miniseries has been enjoyable. I've liked the characterizations, but I think it probably could have done with like another couple of drafts before they like locked in the script, just to be like give it more of a meaty story. Because now I'm looking back at it as like 6 issues, I kind of feel like the story was just kind of there. It was kind of just fine. It was more about just having fun moments with the characters, and then it doesn't feel like it crescendo to a great ending. And I feel like it's I think this is like a companion piece you can sort of recommend. If you've read Adam's Flash run, I might as well read this as well. There's a sort of bit of Jay and Judy, but that's about it.
It was definitely Adams getting to tell his Jay Garrick story, and like you said, maybe he needed a couple more drafts. But the fact that he was able to revisit his origin and kind of flesh out this Dr. Elemental and do all of that type of stuff and play in that sandbox again. But we could have had a little bit more of a thorough line that wasn't just Dr. Elemental?
Just something a bit more meaty. Like, I'm fine with Dr. Elemental being the main villain, but he just, there has to, I think he had to, like, ramp up the stakes at least an issue or two earlier so that it felt like things were on the line. It felt like we only just set this up at the end of last issue, and then we have to wrap it up at the end of this one. It just kind of felt a little bit too lightweight.
If he was like, well, I must undo what I had done, and that's how he was trying to take Judy away instead of having her be this conduit for whatever. I felt like that's proper villain stuff.
And I think it sticks out as well because his Green Lantern run right now is so good. This feels like it's not as good as most of his Flash run.
Lower tier.
Yeah, this feels like the weaker end of Jeremy Adams stuff that I've read. Which is not to say that it's bad. It's just there's just nothing special really. Like I don't think I could ever recommend this on its own. It's like no, if you've read his Flash run, might as well tack this on and read this too. But it's not. Like, it was a nice, delightful read, but hardly must-read material by any means. The whole thing ends with like this Flash family photo being taken. And we see the final photograph in the last page. So,
one of that and the inclusion of the Justice Society too, that they're part of the Flash family. But I definitely like looking at that family photo and picking out all the different characters, and I was kind of like, well, I do miss a regular, like, not that John's JSA isn't regular, right? He's doing his own story with Helena and all this new characters. I miss these core ones, right? like Hourman and Jesse Quick and Mr. Terrific, Dr. Midnight. So it just, it's just one of those things where it makes me miss that era.
Sure. All right. I don't really have anything else to add. I think it's a simple enough book. What were you rating it?
I'm going to give this a 6.5.
Yeah. I agree with that. 6.5.
Because there's nothing wrong with it, but it did definitely feel like the climax of it was just, here you go, typical Flash stuff.
I just, it never felt like it became a big story. It just kind of felt like, oh, it's over. Oh, and that was it. Okay. Well, it was fine. I'm not, I don't regret reading it or anything, but yeah. Okay. There you go. That is that. Batman Off-World, issue 4, Jason Aaron writing with Doug Manhke, or CD Doug Manhke, as I've written here for some reason. Typo. We have Batman has made the choice to stay in the Slag Galaxy to try and solve this problem of the Black Sun Mining Corp, who are enslaving people and ruining various civilizations with their reign of terror. And this very much dives into that. So, yeah, I keep surprising myself at how much I'm enjoying this, despite how I think the premise is not why necessarily something I like for Batman. And I especially didn't like when it reminded me in this that he's only been Batman for a year. And I'm like, wait, what? No way. Come on,
he's going off to space.
Piss off. Like, no, I don't buy this as a year into his career at all. But
no,
that aside, like the actual dialogue, the banter, or the the back and forth with the villains, everything Batman's doing, and then all that stuff with these kind of alien love interest, Ione. Yeah. Like I think all that's working for me. I'm digging all that. So
I love in the very first page where you get introduced to the Slag, the Slag Galaxy, Black Sun Mining, and they're talking about like the natives around here becoming quite the nuisance. And then Batman gets onto the ship and he goes, "I paid for an army. Who are you supposed to be?" And just close up to Batman's mouth, he goes, "The army." I thought that's such a cheesy moment, but I loved it.
Yeah, like I'm having fun with most of what it's doing. I think there was like one line of narration later on that annoyed me, but other than that, everything's really good. The alien dude who Batman beat to steal his ship, because that's the thing, the ship he was on before, he's stolen that now, and he's flying around in that with his punch bot and his alien dog that he befriended, if you remember. So that's the big alien's like, "Oh, lords, I will take back what's mine. I will fix this." And and we met these villains, the people in charge of the Black Sun, this brother sister duo with the red mouths and grey heads. Creepy. Yeah. Super kind of almost Cenobite looking. I'm sure I said that when they were introduced as well.
You did.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. But yeah, they set up this idea that if the brother speaks to you, he can just kill you with speaking to you, because he's like, yeah, you've had your chance, so my brother's going to give you the word of whatever, and he whispers at him, and then the next time we see the big alien dude, he's just sort of got blood pouring out of his eyes and mouth, and I'm like, shit. And then the final thing here is that the woman who's doing all the talking is like, yes, we have to have a word with this Batman, and the word is bolded to be like, yeah, they basically mean kill him with the word. But one of my favorite things about this issue, though, is that when they're inquiring throughout the issue, they're looking for other hitmen to go after Batman, and they set up this main one to go after him. They keep saying things like, "Okay, so what world do Batmen come from? We have to find out which world." And then when they say like this bounty hunter, we'll get to the bounty hunter later, but when she's like, "Oh, there's a Batman," and he's like, "A Batman? Never heard of a world of Batmans." Like I love that running thing throughout of like they keep mistaking, like, no, they must all be like him wherever he came from.
Well, it's also it's also Aaron kind of poking at DC's planet thing, where it's planets of all. It's kind of the Star Wars thing too, right? It's an all ice planet. It's an all desert planet. In here, it's like, all the Tamaranians, of course, like Starfire, right? So it's kind of playing off of that, which I think is funny.
Yeah, so Batman's liberating various places. It flashes back to when he first made this choice, and he's telling Ione about it, and she's like, "You're crazy, you're an idiot. Why aren't you going back to your planet? This is stupid. And then he's like, and she makes the point like, hey, you don't even know anything about any of the worlds around here. And she gives like multiple examples of like just things he doesn't know, like the decorum on this planet, what's legal on another planet, so on and so on. He's like, you're right, I don't know any of this stuff. Maybe it would be good if you came with me. And sort of tries to, and she looks at him and then tells him to F off, because she's like, if you'd asked me to come with you for you, because you wanted me to be with you, because she's clearly interested in him, I might have actually said yes. It might have been a mistake, but I probably would have said yes. But you're not. You're asking me to come with you because you've got this mission. And I thought that was interesting, because it felt like, oh, this is kind of mirroring Catwoman and Batman a little bit.
Kinda, yeah.
There's a little bit of that in there. So this is not about me and you. This is about you and your mission, and I'm just convenient for it.
Yeah, well, this whole side galaxy has become Gotham to him now.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
So...
that said, though, she's definitely going to pop back up later somehow. We know this. There's no way she's gone.
Yeah, because she's a storm chaser, and she's alluded to that there's other storm chasers.
Yeah. Which is what that's what the hitmen are, right?
The hitmen are, yep.
And she, the final panel of the book is her in a hood, like hearing that there's a bounty on Batman. Now, the question, of course, I think the book wants us to think about is like, is she hearing this and going, oh, I need to go help him because he's in trouble? Or is she hearing this and going, I'm going to take that bounty because I'm pissed at him and I want paid? So we'll find out if she fights him or not when she shows up next time. But so this was like a few weeks ago, I think they said.
It said weeks earlier.
So back to present day, he's beat up a bunch of like alien dudes, and we cut to what turns out to be a Thanagarian, although you would never have guessed that, I think, from the first page, because he's just this grey dude with what looks like red tattoos on like parts of his body. And I'm like, and this is the cool thing. This is how you know Aaron and Manhke are good at what they do. Is that as soon as it went to this page, I'm like, oh shit, this is the main villain now. Or not the main villain, but the main hitman that's coming after him. Because it almost felt like a John Wick movie, where you're in the first act of the John Wick movie, and it's like, we need someone to go after John Wick, and you cut to someone who looks kind of menacing. You're like, okay, this is the main one. This is the one who's going to fight the main guy. And
not only that, but a guy that looks like he's going to jump off a cliff, right?
It does. It looks like he's about to step off the cliff. Now, whether or not that's suicidal, maybe it isn't. Maybe this wouldn't kill him. In fact, if anything, I think the fact that it turns out he's Thanagarian probably means that his wings were just going to sprout out.
Right, but we don't know that at the moment. Where it's like, oh, this guy is like, oh, he's sad because he's run out of people to kill. Here's another one, and he gives him another reason to live. Yeah,
so he gets the mission. He gets his big mace looking or throwing. What would you call it? Morningstar. Morningstar. That's what you call it.
Yeah. It's like Hawkman's but more metal.
Yeah, and then he flies off with his helmet on, and I looked at it and went, wait a minute. And the very first panel, the first narration box, I should say, on this page does tell you. But as soon as I looked at this full page spread of him flying off, because before that, you don't know he's got wings. Like, there's not a hint that he's got wings. He flies off and he's got these big red wings. And I'm like, with that helmet, it looks kind of Thanagarian. And then I look at the box that says, oh, real name unknown, alias the Thanagarian. And I went, oh, he's just the Thanagarian. Which, again, is very kind of movie Hitman thing where he's just got like a title. He's not got like a name. So,
yeah, it's like The Mandalorian.
Yeah, but cool.
Yeah, like The Mandalorian.
No, but cool.
Yes, yeah, like The Mandalorian.
But cool.
First base. But yeah, I also like that the text box gives us that he's wanted by the Hawk Police, the Science Rangers of Rand, and the Green Lanterns. 17 space sectors.
That was my favorite part of that, is it was listing the various space entities that want to arrest them. And when it got to the Green Lanterns, it said, in 17 different sectors. Yeah. That's what gave me a chuckle. And it felt like, okay, much like Waid's having fun using parts of DC lore and World's Finest, it felt like, okay, Aaron's having fun with the things he likes. And given that he wrote that big Thor cosmic comic, it's weird that he picked Batman to do it with, but I can't deny that some of that magic's kind of here.
Yeah. Because, if this was a Hawkman story, right, it's not going to sell as much.
Yeah, it wouldn't sell. That's the problem. It wouldn't sell.
But I almost feel like a Hawkman story, this definitely fits Hawkman a little bit more than Bruce.
Yeah, I could have seen him getting away with a 12-issue book of this with a Green Lantern. Like, I could have seen, like, one of the maybe tougher Green Lanterns.
Great Kilowog, right?
I don't know if a Kilowog book would sell though. I'd like to think it would, but I don't know if it would.
Yeah. Guy Gardner.
Sadly, he might be the right one for the job.
Yeah.
Although it would definitely be written as a very different character because of how his personality is.
For sure.
But
he'd be the butt of the joke 9 times out of 10. You know, but,
it'd be weird because War Journal is going on, but I actually think John Stewart might be the best fit with the.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to change the least, John Stewart would fit the best.
Yeah, because he's still a principled guy.
Yeah.
That he has a creed that he goes by, that even if he's not going to violate that even as a Green Lantern. But yeah.
So as Batman's trying to do a raid on the next target, the next mining outpost. In flies the Thanagarian and grabs him, and so they have their first kind of face off, and Batman's questioning maybe he should have went home when he had the chance. And we do get a page back in Gotham where Gordon's like, oh, he's not coming, and turns off the signal, and Alfred's looking concerned in the Batcave. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like it's good to remind us that this is still tethered to the real Batman in some way.
Yep.
But again, I feel this is the idea that he's doing this before he's maybe met even Superman feels really weird to me. But whatever, it's fine.
For sure.
Like, I feel like he should have met Superman and some Green Lanterns, and then he would have the tech to make a spaceship. The fact that he had tech to make a spaceship before he met any superpowered or alien characters feels really a stretch, but whatever. I'm having fun. Like I said, the final page is what looks like Ione. Is it Ione?
Smirking.
I think
it's Ione.
Yeah,
she has the braids and the piercings.
Yeah, but she's got like a hood on, and you don't really see all of her face. But yeah, Ione makes the most sense.
So there's only one issue left. It only solicits up to 5. So.
Really?
Yeah, it feels weird, right? It feels like there should be more.
I thought we were going to like 10, but okay.
Yeah. So I just checked on League of Comic Geeks, and it only goes up to 5. So
fair enough. Maybe the next one's the last one then. Which I can see working. I can see that you having this big fight with the Thanagarian. Ione comes in and helps him. Maybe not at first. Maybe she wants to fight him at first, but then does the right thing by the end, kind of thing.
Right.
But I could see where we go. But all right, fair enough. I almost wishing it was longer now, to be honest.
Me too. Again, I could be wrong, but it's just usually on League of Comic Geeks, if you scroll all the way down, it'll give you the issues.
There was no solicit in today's solicit, so I honestly, I guess it's not that surprising.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, true. But yeah, anyways, I'm really enjoying this. I like it. I like all that, and the art. Manhke's really good. And you said that it feels like Green Lantern and stuff. And it's like, well, that's where I loved his art the most on DC, was when he was doing Green Lantern stuff.
It feels like Green Lantern, but you're not overburdened with green. It's a very nice multicolored book.
Yeah.
So
for sure,
that's good.
But yeah.
Good inks and line work. I really like how heavy the inks are in a Manhke book. All right, what are you giving Batman Off-World? I'm
gonna give this an 8.
Yeah, I think a solid 8. Sounds right for me as well, but surprisingly so. Like I think the premise didn't make me think I was going to like this that much, but I've enjoyed this way more than his Action Comics story for sure. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that takes us out of the final part of the show then, where we pick our favorite stuff for the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and of course top 5 books. And it's actually more of a fight this week because we both read 8 books, and most of them are, in fact, all of them are at least all right,
pretty
but
good.
most of them are great.
There wasn't one that I didn't enjoy reading this week.
I mean, Jay Garrick was kind of the
but I still enjoyed it.
I did too, but it's the obvious low of the week. All right, Matt, what was your panel / moment of the week?
All right, so just spoiler, it's going to be from Wonder Woman, but I want to talk about some of the stuff from Titans.
Okay.
The most of the stuff with Trilogy is up there. Also, in Superman, the final page with Kara and Khan, pretty good stuff. But in Wonder Woman, it's going to be where she, finally breaks through the lie, because she's, her mother's daughter. That whole sequence, like, I'm not going to just pick one page, from the time that Hippolyta shows up to her choking the sovereign. That's my moment of the week.
Yeah, it's hard not to pick the like, where have you ever listened to me moment in Wonder Woman where she just breaks the lasso. It's very hard not to pick that because it is such a fist pump moment, so I have to pick it. But there's nothing else I can pick. It just is.
And I wanted to go for comedy's sake, the Wonder Girls.
Sure, right? I get it, yeah.
But that kind of, just nothing in this week's books filled me with that sense, than that moment for Diana.
Yeah, for sure. All right, best cover of the week. I'm just sort of skimming through them just now because it's I read every book. The same books, so I had no time to skim earlier on. Yeah. Of course, Wonder Woman's always good, and it is a good cover. Probably not its best though. Here, there's also a good Joshua Sway Swabby variant, which looks quite nice. I was looking at the Behermo Superman cover. Looks quite good as well. There's a Carlo Pugilane variant for World's Finest, which is quite nice. And I would even say Pugilane is an artist that I think of, all that much when I'm thinking of
covers,
great covers or whatever. But it is very good. But for picking one though, I'll probably go with the Dan Mora Nightwing cover, which is it's Robin, like, sort of, and then behind him is like Nightwing. It's kind of showing you, like, where he started and where he is now, kind of thing. But there's a lot of covers to check this week though, admittedly, and a lot of, I don't know if there's any of them that stand out to me. Like, 'cause sometimes there's an instant that's definitely my pick, kind of thing. I didn't have that this week.
No, so for a while I thought it was going to be either the Dan Mora Nightwing variant or just the main Wonder Woman cover. And then we got talking about War Journal, and I clicked on it, and I got a good look at the cover. And it's got Jon Stewart in the foreground, and then behind him is like the galaxy and the Green Lantern logo. But if you look in the Green Lantern logo, it's a planet. So I don't know if it's Earth or whatever. It's just the composition of it. It looks like, if you had to pick something to be the cover of the collection, it's going to be this one. So yeah, mine's from Green Lantern War Journal.
Sure. All right. Best art of the week.
Oh, man, this week's tough. You got Montos. You got Sampere for Wonder Woman. You have Meyer for Titans.
Dan Mora
for World's Finest. You could make an argument for Manhke for Offworld. However, again, one thing that filled me with such emotion, throughout the entire book, and that was Wonder Woman. So the stuff in the Stepfordy, kind of, her mind space looked great. The stuff with the Sovereign, as you mentioned, with it was a dark room and him just standing out in the spotlight. And even the backup art was pretty fun this week. So yeah, mine's definitely Wonder Woman.
Yep. It's Wonder Woman. Like, I don't even have to explain it. It just does. There you go. Let's just live with that and move on with our lives. Matt, what's your top 5 of the week?
All right, 1's gonna be Wonder Woman. 2's gonna be War Journal. 3 is Titans. 4 is World's Finest, and 5 is, I'm trying to remember what I gave a higher score to. 5 will go Superman.
Okay. Number 1 for me is Wonder Woman. Number 2 for me is Teen Titans. Oh, sorry, not Teen Titans, just Titans. No. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Friday in there. Number 3 for me, I'll go Nightwing. 4, I'll go War Journal. 5, I'll go Superman. But even that's a little surprising. I would not have expected Superman to make it before I read my books. So that's a pleasant surprise. And I like, honestly, like, Jay Garrick is a step down from everything else, but like, and Wonder Woman's a step up from everything else, but there was a lot of really solid kind of 8-ish out of 10 books for me this week.
Yep.
So it was very hard, kind of like not having World's Finest in there, but hey, that is that. I'll tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics. We have Detective Comics 1084, Green Arrow 11, The Flash issue 8, Harley Quinn issue 39, Batman the Brave and the Bold issue 12, Power Girl issue 8, The Penguin issue 9, Batman Dark Age issue 2, Primer issue 2, and then there's some facsimiles, which yeah, I didn't even mention really. There's a bunch of facsimiles. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a quiet week for sure. There's a bunch of Batgirl reprints from a Comic-Con or something like that going on. I'm not sure what's going on there. Like, because it just says Batgirl 23 and it says C2E2. So some kind of, they're very nice covers though. It's like basically 3 like similar variants of different artists drawing Batgirl.
Yeah, you got Frisian, Middleton, and Derek Jew.
Yeah, and they're all slightly different costumes as well.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Definitely loving that Jenny Frisian cover, but come on, I'm a self-parody at this point.
It's very good. I mean, I prefer the outfit on the Frisian cover, but that Middleton cover is very pretty.
Yeah.
I have to say. Yeah, so cool. But yeah, that's what's coming up next week. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. This has been Comics from the Multiverse, episode 404. You can, of course, support us by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and help keep the show coming, help keep the lights on. It helps out a bunch if you do. Of course, you can support us for free by sharing the podcast, liking on YouTube, rating us highly on whatever podcast app you use. All those things do help out a bunch. But mostly just join us again next week for more DC Comics shenanigans, and let us know what you thought of the books in the comments or on Twitter or on Discord, wherever it may be. All appreciated. But that is us. So thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.